Hey everyone, the Talking Dads podcast is brought to you by Little Scholars Early Learning Center. Whether your family needs infant care, a preschool program, or before and after school care, Little Scholars' highly rated Step Up to Quality programs provide quality early childhood education at an affordable price. Visit www.littlescholars.net to get in contact with an enrollment specialist and schedule a tour of any of their 5 Lake County campuses. Here's the deal. Talking Dads fans are getting a little bonus. Mention that you heard about them through our podcast, and when you tour, and you'll receive $25 off of your registration fee. Again, that's Little Scholars Early Learning Center, where children learn, play, and grow together. We are also brought to you by Pub Fredo Gastropub. Pub Fredo was voted Best Gastropub in Cleveland in 2019 by Cleveland Magazine Silver Spoon Awards. We love Pub Fredo. Their menu is chef-inspired, always pushing the limits of traditional pub fare. The other night I had a burger, I believe it was called the Pub Burger. It was incredible. Cooked perfectly. It was amazing. And you won't have a problem pairing your favorite item on the menu with their great selection of local craft beers, crafted cocktails, and of course, an amazing bourbon and whiskey selection. I went with the Bullet 10-year with my Pub Burger. All of this in a cozy, fun, come-as-you-are atmosphere. You can check them out at pubfredo.com and on Facebook and Instagram at PubFredo Gastropub.
We are also brought to you by Marky Fresh Barbershop in Menor, Ohio.
Bro, I love Marky Fresh.
It's the best, isn't it?
Dude, I get cut there like every 3 weeks. My kid gets cut there every month
Every
and a
now and
half or
then.
so. Month and a half, 2 months, something like that. They do such a good job.
The environment is phenomenal. Everybody's awesome there.
Can I tell you a secret? I don't
Please.
even give a shit about the haircut. It is so much freaking fun going there.
Just to hang out.
Yeah. I have such
Just have a good time. Every time, man.
Yeah.
You get caught. If you want to be in there fast.
Oh, yeah.
Their whole app, everything, booking to get in.
So
It's so
easy.
convenient and easy, but you get caught up
Oh, yeah.
because you just want to hang out and talk with these guys.
You know what the word is? Shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
So many shenanigans.
You don't want to leave.
It's so much fun. But honestly, they do a fantastic job.
They really do.
I look way better when I leave than when I get
You
in there.
really do.
I know.
So, yeah, Marky Fresh.
Yeah, book at markyfresh.com.
Book, get in, stay fresh.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Talking Dads. This week's special guest is our buddy Dennis Quigney. Steve actually met him at our kids' basketball game, which was pretty cool. But yeah, he came in studio and talked to us for a little while. We talked about Chipotle. We talked about family vacations. We also talked about his band, Sergio From Rio, which is pretty amazing. You should check them out. And then, kind of went into a conversation about being a creator and what that's like in today's day and age. So that was fun. And then we also talked a lot about just kind of worrying as fathers and making sure that we have the best for our kids and what are we teaching them. So that was a lot of fun. We got into a lot of good stuff. Please check it out. Tell us what you think. Share it with all your friends. And have an amazing weekend. Love you.
In a world where moms continue to dominate parenting authority and a father's role is minimized in society, 2 dads take on the toughest parenting topics on a weekly basis, all while drinking bourbon. They are the Talking Dads.
So wait, Willoughby Chipotle.
Yeah.
You had all right. So you had Chipotle tonight.
Tonight, yeah. Or it's
Solid
become a
call.
little bit of a Friday ritual.
Okay. It's good to have rituals.
Yes. Sure. It was like we used to have pizza, and I've just tried to lose some weight during, and I have lose some weight during the pandemic. And eating pizza is not part of that, so we've been.
Wait, it's not?
We transitioned to getting Chipotle, and my, I live a street over from Steve. And,
Yeah.
The Willoughby Chipotle, the proximity is nice, but
It is nice and close and convenient.
but it was just like kind of going to Walmart. It was like every time I go in, there was just like a bad experience.
Yeah.
And then it was just like going. I'm not sure. Am I allowed to go in the building? Am I not?
Well,
Am I-
that's the
my orders
thing
always a
there.
half hour late. It's just like I don't know what's going on. And it just like we just started ordering to the Menor one. I just go to 306.
Yeah. So you start going over. Okay. That's a
become
good move.
That's become a ritual.
Now
A
that
little
one.
bit closer.
Oh yeah, moving. There you go. So that's the the new Chipotle in Menor.
Yeah, that's the brand new one.
It's
Yeah.
like feet from the old one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's moved it across the street into an area where there's even more traffic. I feel like because of
Starbucks.
Starbucks is right there.
It's awful.
Well, you work, Ian's daycare
Yeah.
is like right there. So, I mean, I go down there sometimes, and the line coming out of Starbucks
onto 306,
onto 306 or
backed up to
onto
the freeway.
Oh man, it's garbage.
It's ridiculous.
But yeah, the Willoughby, the Chipotle over there, man. I went there. This is a while ago now, and I ordered ahead, and it was you could either go inside, I wasn't sure if you could go inside because for a while there they were doing you go inside and grab your stuff off the little shelf.
Yeah.
So I ordered ahead this one time, and I go in there and there's no food up there, and I'm like, okay. So I go, hey, I was supposed to be here 10 minutes ago. Food's not out. She's like, oh, what's the name? I told her. She's like, well, all the stuff for that time it's gone already. I'm like, well, mine's not here. She goes, oh, someone must have taken it. I'm like,
That's outrageous.
Okay.
Although I could see how that could happen.
absolutely, because anybody could walk off the street. Anybody, any kid or anything can walk in there and be like, food. No one's asking what
Yep.
your name is. It's just
Yep.
sitting on that little shelf. You go in there, grab it, and walk out.
Especially, everyone's wearing well, not that they would know what you look like, but
Yeah.
it's insane.
And then they changed it. Then they were changing it to where you can't go in the building, and they would you would go to the front door, and they would have it sitting there, and you just tell them your name, and they would hand it to you.
Gotcha.
And then
that's better.
Yeah, that worked out. But then they changed it again, so you could go in and order.
Right.
Get in line to do it.
Normal. Yeah.
So one day I was sitting there another time, and I'm waiting for my food, and it was 15 minutes late. And there's this group of kids. They were probably like in their 20s, and I say kids because I'm so old now.
Right.
But the one kid has the gator masks.
Oh yeah.
So every time he would talk, he would pull it down to talk.
Right.
So he's sitting there talking, and he put it back up. He gets up to, it's his turn to order his food, and he pulls it down, and he's just talking. Okay, I'll get the, he's just talking over the glass to the lady. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, do you not get the point of the mask? Like, I know not everybody agrees with the mask, but
Right.
dude, just keep it on. Like, they can hear you through your mask. You don't have to pull it off to talk.
It's not a sound barrier.
Die. But yeah, I have to agree. Chipotle.
I will say that it's not a job I'd like to work. And
Absolutely.
So I would give people credit for wanting to work there. It's probably hard to find employees who want to work there, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
I have many similar stories to you, to the point where it's just like, I remember one time waiting for my food in there for like a half hour, and people were coming in thinking I work there and just like asking me questions because there's no worker in sight. Everyone's like riding
Right.
in the back.
Right.
They weren't taking orders in the front.
Exactly.
It's like, I'm like, I don't work here. Like, I don't want to work here.
Can't help
Like,
you.
I'm
Can't
looking
help
for my
you.
food just like you are.
Yeah, man, it's true. It's not something I would want to do.
I remember when the pandemic must have just coming out of like everything closed, right?
Yeah.
So things were opening back up, and everyone was doing takeout, and we were doing like a meeting or something like that at the daycare. I had like 8 or 9 orders that I was picking up, so it's a big order, right?
Yeah.
And, so I get there a little bit early just to make sure that I'm on time for the meeting and everything, and they are backed up. And there's probably, I only remember this because there was like 30 people inside at Menor. It's the old Menor one.
Yeah.
And there's like 30 people inside just on top of each other. And at that time, we were
Small
just kind of
place.
like, eh. And there's one lady, she was probably mid 40s, working her ass off. She was taking orders. She like on the phone.
Oh.
Then she was making
Preparing the
everything,
food. Yeah.
preparing everything, setting them up, and then, answering everyone's questions like, well, where's my food? And she's like, guys, I'm about 30 minutes behind. I'm sorry. People are just being such assholes to her. I'm like,
yeah.
you guys, take a chill. Like
Like,
it's fine.
it's tough sometimes. Like, I mean, it is frustrating when you want your food,
Yeah.
but if you could take a look around and realize what these people are dealing with, it's like
this poor girl was just sweating her ass off, just going back and forth and getting. I mean, there's nobody else there. I'm like, why is she by herself at noon on a Wednesday or
Yeah.
Friday, whatever it was? Like, I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is lunch rush.
exactly. That's ridiculous because I mean, you could get pissed off at the lady, but like you said,
that
she's by
gonna do?
herself. But I mean, it's different when you go to these places and you have
Yes.
like 5 people working back there.
Yes.
And they're just hanging out talking.
100%.
You got like a couple of the kids on their phones.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
I've had kids at McDonald's when I've gone to McDonald's come to the window on their phones. Like, here, whatever. Just put their hand out for the money. I'm like, dude. Actually, no. They have that little thing that comes out the window. You know how you can scan your card? They just swing it out the window. They're like, and he's on the phone still. Here you go.
Yeah.
And he's going to say, have a good day. I'm like, have a good one. No response. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Customer service.
Yeah.
Still there, right?
Well,
Yeah, something like that.
It was just kind of a shame. I live so close to Chipotle.
Well, that's
I
the thing.
Chipotle, it's something like even when I'm on a diet, I can eat it, and then it's just like, and then it's just like to the point where I don't even want to go there.
I know.
It's
That's
like,
tough. And
so
it sucks because
sad.
you have to go all the way out to Menor then, which is not terrible, but
First
as
world
opposed to it's like
problems,
right, I don't know, a quarter of a mile from your house.
Yeah, it's like
ah.
I really could walk there. I
They're,
really want to, yeah.
They're almost on Chick-fil-A's level in terms of busy, like how busy they
Oh,
get.
yeah. They get crazy busy.
I was there.
Chick-fil-A is wild.
Oh, but
It's insane,
they're
but they
so
flow,
efficient.
though.
It's like wrapped twice around the
and it
building.
flows. That place, I don't understand how when they start doing that, like the kids outside
Oh, I
with
know.
like the little iPads and they're just walking around. I'm like,
yeah.
what the hell is this? I'm like, this is a disaster, but it works.
It works so well.
I'm like, it just made no sense to me. I'm like, what is going
amazed.
on?
Every time I see it, I'm just so amazed. So my my Chipotle has a drive-through. They were like the first one in the area to get a drive-through, and it works out very, very well. And so I had Sloan with me. She must have had gymnastics that night, and Chelsea was like, "Hey, you guys are on your own for dinner." I'm like, "Sloan, you want a quesadilla?" She's like, "Yep."
Jackpot.
So I order. I'm there. I get in line, and it's a pretty big line because it's like 7 o'clock on a Tuesday or something like that. It's dinner time. And I'm there a couple minutes early, and I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to pull in this line. I get up to the window like 2 minutes after my time. And the kid's like, dude, we're so far behind. And I look, he goes, can you go pull back around?
Back in line.
Or no, first he goes, can you come inside to get your order? And I had Sloan and I had the dog.
Oh,
And
so this is really
I was like,
recent.
dude, come on. Like, I can't
Yeah, the
do
point
that.
of me going through the drive-through is not
Right.
take the kid out of the car.
And he's like, well, you're welcome to get back in line. And I look around, and the line is like out on Cryle Road. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm gonna
like,
hop
well,
back
it's gonna be
in
another
line.
hour before I get through that line.
yeah, can I just pull up to the side?
And so I was like, you know what, can I just get my money back? You know, it'll be fine. Like, we'll do something else for dinner. He's like, well, we can't do any refunds here, but you can go on the website and tell them what happened, and they'll refund your money, and then they'll probably give you like an extra gift card too. I was like, oh, all right, fine. So I get home, do all that. That was like 3 weeks ago.
No refund?
Nothing.
What do you mean you can't do a refund in this store? It's 2021.
I don't know.
I could give someone a refund from my phone,
right.
like through an app.
It is interesting. Like Chipotle and Chick-fil-A, the Chick-fil-A store is obviously outgrown itself. Like
Yes.
Right.
It's in a good location on Euclid Avenue, even though I'm trying to avoid it if I can.
Oh, yeah.
I've got an 84 or something, but and same with Chipotle, and they built a new Chipotle. It's like slightly bigger than the old one, but they could have a serious rethinking of the location. They could have an old warehouse and essentially be feeding people.
Right.
out of it.
Seriously though, man, like
They do business.
they could do it so many different ways, and I think the way they put it next to that Starbucks just.
It's a mess.
It makes no sense
I haven't
to
been
me.
to that one yet, so I don't know. I haven't been to the drive-through.
I haven't either.
Actually, I haven't had Chipotle in a while. I've been splitting it up a little bit. Now, let me ask you guys this: when you do the diet and you decide that you're going to start eating, because you can eat Chipotle still, I've done it to where you don't have the rice, right? You could do the brown rice, right? That's a little healthier.
Yeah.
But I was getting it without rice a couple times. Have you ever done that?
No,
It's like soup.
Yeah.
It's like soup.
it's not for me.
No, it's not for me either, man. Because you know what because I'm like, I'll just get some lettuce on the bottom, just get the vegetables and the meat and the salsa and everything. Keep it healthy, right? Carb free.
Yeah.
It's like soup in the bottom of that bowl.
Just go with the brown rice.
Yeah, the brown rice, because it has to soak up the juices.
Yeah, and there's actually conflicting reports on brown versus white rice at least in terms of calorie intake.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's other benefits, whole grains and shit like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
of course. But yeah, I don't know. The way I look at it is when I'm, dieting, which isn't that often. If I'm gonna get Chipotle, I'm gonna get Chipotle.
I know. Here's my problem. I guess also when you do diets, you could do what's called portion control,
Right.
which I can do sometimes. But man, like if I'm sitting there eating Chipotle and I'm hungry,
Yeah.
I crush that bowl.
Well, I've even tried to do I'll order a bowl and get a tortilla on the side,
Done
make
it.
myself a smaller
Mm-hmm.
burrito, and then save the other half. I quit that too.
Yeah, it's
It's just not as good when you got
Dude.
sour cream in there.
Oh, yeah,
and,
you're like,
it's just,
if you have it later, it just doesn't work.
It's just not the same.
No.
I try to use it, as the Friday reward. I made
Yeah,
it through the
yeah, there
week.
you go.
Good, yeah.
Still, I might cheat and okay, we'll get the sour cream. And I'm supposed to have it, but
Yeah.
I go light
it
on the
really
sour cream.
takes the dinner from here to here.
Sure, it does. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sour cream's another story. I do love the sour cream, but you ever see when like have you ever had it when they just
Oh,
dump?
it's the worst.
They're like, I also have like a little dollop. They're like, no, sure, just pour like a gallon on top of it. I'm like, oh, there's food under there, right? Like it just, oh, the sour cream, thank you. Yeah,
yeah, I'm
good
not,
shit.
not huge on the sour cream.
I like it, but I like a little bit.
Yeah.
I just don't like a ton of it.
All right, well,
Okay, we got really deep into the Chipotle talk. Well, let's mark it down. It took a minute to get into food this time.
yeah,
We usually talk about food at some
that
point.
might be a new record. I don't know. Dennis, thanks for joining us.
Yes, we appreciate it.
We're, of course, here at the Collab by Notion in beautiful downtown Willoughby. So before we can get back into food if we want.
I'm always all about
but
food.
Why don't you give us a dad profile for all the listeners? Let us know who you are, what makes you a dad.
Okay.
And get a little bit closer still.
Sure. What makes me a dad? Well, I have 2 kids. I am 32. I'll be 33 next week.
Youngin.
Been a dad I am a dad of 26. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, both boys. Killian and Cortland, the names. I live a street over from Steve. I met Steve only a few weeks ago at our kids' mutual basketball game. They're on the same team.
Yep.
I'm like a working stiff. I go to my job and then I'm pretty involved with the kids. I'm gonna coach Killian's baseball team this summer.
Nice.
We have them in different activities. What makes me a dad? Well, you got to be there for your kids, I guess. I'm present. I'm there. I don't travel a lot unless we're traveling with the family.
Right.
I'm pretty involved in their life. We'll talk about it here, but I still like to make music on the side and do my own things. I think having a balance in life is pretty important.
Totally. Absolutely,
Where
man.
if I was and they don't want me, they're gonna have to be independent at some point. They don't want me up their butt their whole life either. So
Yeah, I mean that's a huge point. We've talked about it a couple times. A lot of times what we get into on the show is getting your kids into activities and making sure that they're into different hobbies and exposing them to a ton of stuff and kind of just expanding their minds. And that's 100% true. And I think that everyone should do as much as they can with their kids and get them involved in as many things as they can, especially when they're little. But we've also talked about how important it is for parents to have their thing.
Yeah.
We are people. We don't cease becoming who we were just because we had kids.
Yeah.
Now, do you evolve? Absolutely. You have to. I don't think that you can be a parent and not change your lifestyle. Like it's that's just not in the cards, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But and so for some people that's a huge change, and for some people it's not so big of a change. But I've seen, especially in my business, I've seen people that completely give up who they are. And I don't know that that's the healthiest thing in the world.
No, you need to have some type of, like you said, some type of like hobby or something outside of parenting. Like the same thing with work. Like you can't just be 100%
Right.
work. You need to do something else with yourself to stay sane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And try to have fun and enjoy yourself at the same time.
Something I come back to is everything in moderation. Whether it goes to whether it's drinking bourbon or being up your kid's butt or or just anything. You need to have balance in life. Whether so you have time for your kids, time for your wife, time for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
All these things.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a huge thing, and it's tough. A term that gets thrown out a lot is work-life balance. And while I believe in work-life balance, I don't believe that my work-life balance is going to be the same as yours, as the same as Steve's, as the same as your neighbor Chuck, whoever. So I struggle when I hear things like work-life balance, like, oh, well, you need to spend 50% of your time at work and 30% of your time with your family and 20% of the time and you need to be sleeping. And it's just like, no.
It goes back to what works for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. What works for you. And quite honestly, that's like a game of trial and error constantly. You're constantly evolving that. Sometimes there, you know, depending on what you do for a living, like there's times where work has to be in the forefront for a little bit. And there's other times when it's baseball season or your kid's really involved in certain activities where, hey, look, I'm going to spend a little bit more time with my kids because this is a really important time right now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to balance. It's hard to constantly juggle all of those things, but I think personal happiness and just personal fulfillment, I guess, is almost crucial.
Well, it's nice that I have a wife who's supportive and helpful, and we talk, and we're very collaborative. You know, pun intended, but very collaborative in what we do. You know, when I go home tonight, she's going to go out and get a drink with her friends. You know
Nice.
what I mean?
That's
So
awesome.
Just so we all have our own our own time. It's healthy for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. That balance is so important. And like with us, we have this once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Sometimes more. And our wives let us go and do this. And then at the same time, we really want them to go out and enjoy themselves too. We give them the option. You know, it's not like I have to do this, you have to stay home with the kids. Like you are staying home with the kids and I'm going to go out and do my work thing. I mean, this is kind of work for us, right? I mean, it is.
Yeah.
But we really do enjoy it at the same time because we get to hang out and talk.
It's a supplemental thing that we get a lot out of.
Yes.
You know, it's definitely turned into more of a business than we ever thought that it would.
Yeah.
But by the same token, it's important to us to do this podcast, you know, and our wives understand that and they're super supportive. And, you know, if they weren't, there's no way we'd be doing this for 3 years now. Like,
that's true.
Very true. I mean, when I look at people who are single parents, especially single parents of multiple kids, I don't envy them. You know, I mean, it's
got to be so difficult.
Yeah, you got to being able to have that partner who take burden off you, and you do the same for them. And,
right.
It's very important.
Yeah, for sure.
So how are the kids, man? I remember Killian.
Yeah, Killian went to Little Scholars for maybe half a year,
something like that. Is because it was right when you guys got pregnant with
Cortland. Yeah.
Cortland. Yeah.
We call him Coco.
Coco.
Everyone knows him
I
as
like
Coco.
that Coco.
He's I'm following his footsteps. He has really long hair. You ever see him? He got a ponytail right now. He
I was going to say, I don't remember the long hair, so it must be a COVID thing.
Yeah. Coco looks like a member of Pearl Jam or something.
Nice.
He's got some great hair.
Yeah, he has real long hair. He's very different than Killian. Killian seems to take more after maybe I was an athlete growing up, and he seems to have the athletic stuff. He would ride a bike at like 4 years old. He seems to be the athlete in. Cortland's very different. He likes sitting around doing puzzles and swinging the swing. Or he's kids are playing outside, but he'd rather go inside. Or seeing these things. More of an introvert. So you have multiple kids.
Yeah, I got two. Yeah.
So they it's interesting to see how the two kids are
absolutely
different, but they still get along.
I don't think that we've ever talked to one dad that has said, "Yep, I got two kids. They're identical."
Yeah.
I mean, even we've had guys that have twins, and they're completely different kids, right? And I think that's so important to remember. We'll try and talk to people that, their second kid's on the way or something like that. And like, oh, well, I'm just going to rinse and repeat. It's going to be the same thing. It's like, dude,
nope.
you got another thing coming, man. These kids are their own humans.
Yeah.
And from an early age, you'll notice the personality differences, and quite honestly, that makes it a ton of fun because you're learning all over again with them.
Yeah,
that's for sure, man. Like I could tell the difference between mine. Same thing.
Your kids even look pretty different.
Very different. Like Sam is more like my wife's side of the family. Like he has the fair skin, like the blonder hair.
Looks like you,
dark hair. Yeah, the olive skin and everything. Like he's definitely a lot more like me. And they're completely different personalities too.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's funny. Like Ben is just he's a wild man, but then he's starting to be like, because Sam is a very sensitive kid. Like he's just very sensitive. He's very careful. But it's funny though, because the two of them have spent so much time together that like they're starting to act a lot alike now. It's weird. Like Ben's starting to get that like nervous.
Oh, really?
To him too. Well, you noticed it at your house though one day when he said he was scared of everything.
I guess so, yeah.
It's a whole new thing. Like he was never afraid of anything.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we were in a
He's in the process of building a new house.
Yeah.
So he was giving us a tour of the house. We took the wife and kids over there, and Ian gave us a tour. And both my kids
dark.
It was dark,
So there's no lights on in the house yet.
and
or
it was
anything
like
that. It's
like twilight, like
creepy
it's-
place.
Yeah, and it's dark in there, so we're using our phones
kind
as
of back in
flashlights.
the woods.
Yeah, it's a little creepy.
It's a little creepy.
If you think about it, yes, it is. But
Blair
both my
Witch,
kids were like, oh, it's scary. And
There's
I'm
like construction equipment everywhere.
It was-
Weird noises.
yeah, it was loud in there. It was definitely a little creepy in there. But I mean, it was funny though. Both my kids were like, "Oh, it's scary." I'm like, "It's fine. Like, just hold the flashlight." They're like, and then Gibson's talking about zombies. So Sam's like, "There's zombies in here." I'm like, "There's no such thing as zombies." I'm like, "I got to tell you this." And Sam is like very, like I said, he's a nervous kid. If you bring up something, he takes it to heart and he won't let it go. Like the one day we were at my in-laws' house and we all got the Amber Alert on our phones.
Mhm.
So I'm talking to my in-laws about
scary
like
noise.
yeah, and he's like, Sam's in the other room, but you could tell he's listening. We're talking about a kid probably getting abducted or something like that, and all of a sudden he's like, "What do you mean?" And we're like, "Oh, nothing. No, it's fine." He's like, a bad guy took a kid. I'm like, "Well, yeah." And then he starts asking me if I like, about bad guys and bad people and things like that. And he asked me if I have weapons to protect us. I'm like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "But you don't need to worry about this kind of stuff." It's like.
I mean,
it's
they're
something-
sponges, right?
Even when you think they're not listening, they're listening to everything, man. And he takes everything very seriously.
yeah.
Like my mom said the one day, something about bears eating or coming after you or something, just joking around.
Right.
He goes, "There's bears?" She's like, "No, there's no bears around here." And he asked me all the time, he goes, "Hey Dad, is there bears in our world?" I'm like, "Yes, there's bears in our world." He's like, "But not in our city." I'm like, "They're not in our city." No. I know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to tell. I mean,
I remember.
he's always worried about that. And now wolves. Wolves are another thing.
I remember when we moved into our old house. It was like, must have been, I don't know, 6 or 8 months after Gibbs was born, and there was a bear sighting in my neighborhood, and it was like a little cub. But where there's a cub, there's a mom. And so it's like our neighborhood like Facebook page or whatever, and they're like, be careful. We saw this bear, and they saw it at our neighbor's house.
Oh shit.
And so, me being me, my Gibbs had these like toy binoculars, and so I put them up against the window with the binoculars. I took a picture of them, and I was like, "Well, we're going on a bear hunt." You guys know the going on a bear
going
hunt.
on a bear hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a cute picture, and it was funny, and like I got crushed. They're like, "This isn't a joke. There's a bear." Well, it's not in my house.
You hear that?
I'm not outside.
Bears. Now you're putting the whole station in jeopardy.
Yeah, right.
You can smell the menstruation.
The
Those people take it seriously, man. The neighborhood watch.
I was like, "I'm sorry, Jesus." Okay.
well, at least with my kids, they get scared of something like briefly, and then maybe they forget about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You haven't had these like long lasting fears. Like that wolf thing will probably go away.
They go, yeah, he
you know?
doesn't talk about the wolves too much. Like the bad guy thing's kind of going away. But bears right now.
But that's kind
bears.
of like that like explaining the Amber Alert and why they're going, why your phone's going off is a little it's kind of that's one of those hard topics.
Well,
to figure out.
I think I've talked about it on this. I remember when I was little, realizing that there's actually bad people,
Right.
And
and
we live in
Take
a
your
pretty
Chipotle.
benign place.
exactly, and it's yeah,
Go in and take your Chipotle.
taking my Chipotle, shit like that.
Terrible.
But I remember
people.
that feeling though, man. I would think I was like 6 years old. I remember being at my grandma's house, and I was just this feeling. I remember like that sinking feeling about knowing that there's bad people out there that could harm me.
Your naivete just going away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, your innocence is just slowly starts going away, man, and it's a terrible feeling.
Yeah, and I mean, I think as parents, you try and shield them as long as you can, right?
Yeah.
And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know.
See, I don't know the best time to do something like that because I mean, it is good to teach your kids to be cautious.
The answer is every kid's going to be different.
Yeah,
Well,
for sure. Because I mean,
like,
kids are trusting of every adult.
Right. Right. I mean, somebody like Sam, who I look at and think he's very like analytical. Like
Yeah.
like if I ask Sam to do something, I can like see him thinking about it, and then he wants to do the right thing.
Yeah,
Like always wants to do the right. He
Yeah,
reminds
yeah.
me of Mila in that way.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
exactly.
But like with Gibbs, if I ask him, he's not analytical at all, to where he's either going to do it or he's not, and there's There's nothing that's going to change his mind, So if he does it, he's just going to do it as quick as he can so that he can continue what he was doing. If he's not going to do it, we're just going to fight about it,
True.
So, somebody like Sam might be able to handle that a lot earlier. To whereas
Maybe we'll
kids,
see where it goes. I mean,
he's not even going to think about that until he starts to develop that more.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what they like how they teach kids at school to not talk to strangers. How to not go with someone that's not their parents.
Right.
Funny story. I saw this TikTok. This mom goes,
Tic-tac.
"Hey, honey, what would you do if somebody told you that they were mommy's friend and they were coming to pick you up?" And the little girl goes, "You have friends?" That's pretty awesome.
That's pretty great.
But seriously, though, man, it's kind of stuff you think about, like, that you don't think to teach your kids. Because, like, and you said you're killing 6, right?
Yeah.
That time goes by in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, you think they're babies. Right. The next thing you know, they're 6 years old. And it's like, holy shit, we got to start, like, teaching them about this stuff. Like,
Right.
that's crazy
Yeah,
thought.
we're coming up on that where things are going to have to be explained more.
Yes.
And
they're curious, too.
Yeah, they are, absolutely.
With Killian, he seemed to always want to shed. I'm not a baby. He wanted to shed that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He wanted to be the independent one. Where the younger one, like, he's gonna be he's our last child. So I think me and my wife are kind of hanging on to him.
Sure.
We want him to be the baby. We don't want you to grow up.
Yeah.
Killian can grow up. We want you to be the
Yeah, he's already past that. You're you're still a baby.
And he's more prone to being the cuddler, and he's we don't have a girl, but he's the closest thing to
Right.
he's more affectionate and those kind of deal.
Now, let me ask you this. So, Killian had a congenital heart defect,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, do you take that, do you think about that, like how he's not much of a cuddler? Like Ben's not a cuddler at all. And I always think that's because for the first few months of his life, we couldn't hold him. So, like, he kind of became more independent early on, just didn't want us to hold him. He's more of the get out of my room, I'll go to bed on my own type of kid.
I don't attribute it really to the heart defect.
Yeah.
It happened really, right out of the gate. Sound like it happened same
with me, yeah.
So, like, I think I just attribute more to his personality.
Yeah,
type,
absolutely.
He just wants to be his own person, and as a dad, I'm trying to give him a kiss as long as I can until they're stiff arming me. You know what I mean? So but
Yeah, because like you said, every kid is different for sure.
something I struggle with the younger one. Me and my wife we're both like we want to push him to be more independent, but at the same time, he's like gonna be the last baby. Right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely, man.
Sure.
I get that too. I mean, I try to talk like that with Ben all the time, and he's always like, "I'm not a baby.
You're gonna
I'm
have
a big boy." I'm like, I know.
You're gonna have a middle child.
Yeah, Jesus
You're gonna
Christ.
have a middle child, so that's
Yeah.
gonna be a different conundrum. You only have 2.
Yeah, 2, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to be too, but I had to.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
Oh, absolutely,
I mean,
it'll be
for
great.
me, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun on the outside.
Yeah.
You guys will babysit.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you
Send
guys.
Sammy over.
I don't know how many times you talked about vasectomies on the podcast, but
We have
I
talked
don't
about
know.
it.
We have it. Are you a survivor?
Yeah.
Oh,
a
nice.
A recipient.
A recipient, yeah. That's good. So, actually, I mean, do you want to talk about your vasectomy story? Because
Sure,
we've heard some
yeah.
different opinions.
We have.
Yeah, it was awkward. It was very
Yeah.
awkward. I was sore longer than I thought I'd be, I guess.
How long are we talking?
Yeah, we need to know details.
Well, the first few days, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And then it was just kind of lingering, like you get kicked in the balls or something, and you just maybe you get that residual like
I was called
Uncomfortable pain.
I was called it the ghost kick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like I got kicked again, randomly, 4 hours later.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
You were also a survivor.
No.
No. Just when I got kicked in the balls once, or a couple times.
Yeah,
Actually.
Oh, okay. So that's why I say he's our last kid because unless
Something happens. Yeah, but
act of God or something
Yeah.
happens. And it's cool. It's nice. Like 2 person is nice to have that relief. We have that in the back of your mind.
Right.
yeah, absolutely. We don't have to be
you're-
too careful. You don't have to think about that all the
Yeah,
time,
just-
like some type of mistake.
Yeah,
Did you say steak?
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Yeah, that's something we weren't intending on. We like what we've built.
Right.
We don't
Yeah.
wanna-
Yeah, I'm more than considering at this point. It's more about getting my wife on board, which I think she is.
I would assume she is.
But
I'm
also not pushing the issue because I don't want her to start thinking about
Yeah,
like the
you know what?
finality of it.
Yeah.
Just wait until like we're past that.
Do you want? You don't want to have more kids? It sounds like.
No, I am very happy with mine too.
Yeah.
I got a boy and a girl. I'm blessed with wonderful children. They're a pain in my ass, but they're also the best thing about me.
Yeah.
You know, and so with everything, with work and doing, you know, we are very happy and content with our two.
Yeah.
And then it's time to get snipped.
Yeah. Well, me and my wife always talked about wanting to have enough time for the kids we already have. You know.
Sure.
And
yeah.
I'm not disparaging you.
No,
but
trust me, I get it,
we
man.
talked about this. Well, I mean, you're gonna have to rely on your support system. You know. And,
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure you know I said you had your family lives in the area, so you can. You know, it's nice.
We do
You
have a lot of
friends.
help, that's for sure.
Yeah. So that's.
And I have like, friends that have kids, my brothers that could help out too. And
Yeah.
especially with Sam, who we could just send off to, and that sounds terrible. Not just send off, but like just go hang out with like,
Yeah. Some in my house.
you know, like for example, Sam is now signed up for summer camp.
That's right. He is. That's going to be fun.
We
for
had a
him.
conversation a couple weeks ago about summer camps and activities and things like that. We were thinking like, okay, we do not want him to be home all summer long because he needs to be around friends and doing something. Also, give my wife a little bit of a break because she'll be home all summer.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you're going to have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a baby by yourself all day. So I'm like, we need to get him into something. So we signed him up for a day camp, and he's very excited about it.
Good.
And we are too. I mean, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
You talked it up a lot. I was like, this sounds great. I think I got to get him involved in this.
Well, you know, it's funny, like, from Little Scholar's perspective is last year, it's funny how things work out. And this is kind of behind the scenes stuff, but every year we always have a goal of having summer camp, like planned, prepared by February. Mm-hmm. It's always our goal.
It's a good goal.
And every year it's like April or like end of March. And we're like, oh shit,
it's coming.
We have to really finalize these. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So whatever. So last summer or last winter, I guess it was like February 5th. And my team is like, guess what? I'm like, what? They're like, summer camp is planned. It is booked. It is scheduled. Everything is perfect. And then a month later, we all get shut down, and there is no summer camp. You know, I mean, we had like a camp, but we didn't.
It wasn't,
like, we
not
couldn't
the same.
do anything.
Yeah.
So we felt like we got cheated, you know?
Yeah.
Because not only do the kids love it, but my staff loves summer camp. They get to go on field trips.
It's
just do other
completely
stuff,
different.
You know?
It's not the
Weather's
usual.
Nice.
It's not the usual sitting around at the
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but like not being stuck inside.
Right. There's only so much you can do on the same playground every day, or you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So this year they were like, "Hey, can we do some really?" Because again, this year a lot of places aren't booking big group events.
Yeah.
Because they still don't know what's going on, and that's totally understandable. So we're like, you know what, we're going to take that equation out of it. We're going to do our own thing, and so they came up with this pretty cool idea. And it's, you know, Steve and I actually on the podcast all the time talk about how amazing we have it with all the cool parks around here.
Oh yeah.
So we're scheduling all these different park visits, and we're just doing like scavenger hunts and geocaching and like all this kind of stuff with the kids. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's nature themed this year. So, yeah, I'm excited for it. I know Gibbs is pumped.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's going to be great.
The parks around here are a major draw. I wish the weather was a little bit nicer.
Sure.
But you know, it's nice. We live pretty close to the Gully Brook over there.
Yeah,
you know
Gully
what I
Brook's
mean?
great.
And it's like almost exactly 1 mile around or something. So it's like the perfect thing. My kids can now walk it with me.
Yeah.
So we're there frequently. It's nice to see it in different seasons, and you know, we're pretty close to Squire's Castle in that park.
Oh, yeah.
North
Yeah, because
Chagrin.
the North Chagrin Reservation is huge. And
Yeah, I'm finding new
awesome.
I'm finding new trails there all the time.
Place is great.
Every time I think I've done all the trails there, I find a new one. So it's nice.
That place is massive.
Yeah.
Well,
But I told him before too is thing kind of sucks is like we used to go there all the time. Now that like when COVID hit, like people had nothing to do. They found out about these parks, and now those places are packed. I'm like, that was my spot, man. I'm like, I can't find a place to park now.
Yeah. I took Walter to, he had a vet appointment. What's today? Friday? Yesterday.
Friday.
And, it was still nice out yesterday. And so after his vet appointment, I was like, we're going over to the park and we're going to go take a walk through the trails and everything. Just me and him, like, had some time. We go over there and there was no parking spaces on a Thursday at like 11 a.m. I'm like,
What is going on?
What is going on here?
Well, also because when the weather breaks,
one of the
too,
first nice
people
days,
go crazy. They're like, oh my God, this is it.
Well,
It's spring. It's like, no, it's faux spring because it's going to be snowing before we know it
We
again.
got third winter coming.
Oh,
here
yeah,
pretty
it
soon.
happens.
where I used to, I used to be where I work is at Euclid and 40th in Cleveland, and I've been working at home since March, so they, like I'm one of these people who might have ended up taking that parking spot because I can, I can more flexible with my schedule. I went to Gully Brook the other day at lunch, when it was nice, and did a lap, came home and ate lunch and continued to work.
Absolutely.
These are things that I would have been in Cleveland, maybe walk around the block there.
Right,
instead,
exactly.
But I'm taking up the parking spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
and I think
you're one of
it's
the people
cool,
taking
though.
the spot. You son of a bitch.
Honestly, it's nice though because what I have noticed is this year, and maybe it's because I'm going to the parks more too.
Yeah.
Is that like they've already done like all the major cleanups.
Yeah.
They took advantage of those couple days.
Nice weather, yeah.
And I don't know if they always do it this early or not, but like I remember. So we ended up finding a place and we took a little walk. And I was like, man, trails are in great shape. Garbage
Maintenance, man.
cans are ready. Like
good to go.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, you live out. If you live on Concord, I mean, the Metro Parks pretty much owns most of the Grand River at this point.
Yep.
I mean, they've even parts that aren't parks at the moment. They still own a lot of that land around there. So. You could take a kayaking trip from Ashtabula County all the way through there.
Yeah.
You're going to pass through about 10 different parks.
Yep.
So you live in a pretty good area.
Awesome. Yeah.
You go further down to Chardon.
Yep.
There's that, God, I can't remember
Big
the name of
Creek.
it.
Big Creek.
There's this other one, though. Maybe it is Big Creek. There's one where there's like that rock climbing wall. It's like south. It's way down
no,
there.
that's way further south. I can't remember what that one's called.
There's one in Clarendon Woods.
Clarendon Woods, that's it.
that's
That place is awesome.
It's amazing.
It was like a hidden gem. We found
Because
it.
you go under the bridge
Yeah.
to get there, and then once you're in there, it has that huge rock climbing wall.
Yeah, they got all kinds of stuff there. They have like the
forgot
bike
about that
trails and
place.
everything like that.
There's this bike trail, and my son was like, "Well, Killing's wild about it." I was just like, "Man, I wish this was it's like at least a half hour from my house." It was a little bit.
I know,
little
it's
bit
tough. It's a tough
closer,
ride.
But Lake Metro Parks probably see that and be like, "Oh, we'll try to incorporate that into one of our parks."
I bet you now that it's getting a lot more popular, they probably will.
Yeah.
I think that, people seem to be going to those places a lot more now, which is great. Because,
is
we
awesome.
have so many different parks. They're amazing. They're all great. That North Chagrin Reservation in the fall, if you park over, you know where like the duck pond is?
What park?
At the North Chagrin Reservation.
Yeah.
So they have that duck pond. If you cut through, there's like
Talk about the nature center.
there's a nature center.
Yeah.
But if you take that trail over to 91,
Yeah.
there's a little place that goes underground there. And it's like under 91, and there's called the
souped up-
Cove.
A souped up playground over there.
Oh yeah. And
yeah.
in the evenings, if you go there on a Friday in the fall or like late summer,
The show.
there's concerts going on there, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Food trucks. I mean, we just make a whole night of it.
Yeah, it's nice.
Last year, obviously, we didn't do it, but
last year,
Have you been to that playground?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's like state of the art. It was really nice, and then we went there recently, and it was brand new again.
Well,
it's amazing.
When we were doing summer camp stuff, we are like, well, what can we do that
Kids will stay there
we
all
don't
day.
have to rely on, like a tour guide for something or, we used to do a lot of stuff like go to different exhibits and like you'd have to buy tickets and get in and, all that kind of stuff, whatever. I was like, let's just do the parks, man. It's unlimited possibilities. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to go to Squire. I mean, we always did Squire's Castle. That was always one of them that we did.
Yeah.
That one the kids love. But yeah, I don't know, Veterans Park, just walking around, we can go fishing and, there's tons
get the
of different stuff
playground,
that you can do.
get the trails and everything. It's great.
So yeah, we're excited for that.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, slightly off topic, but like, so with the Browning Center down the street here, it was an elementary school. They turned it into the senior center. It's just a catty corner around the corner here.
Yeah.
And like the school district, we get into I don't know if you're going to end up sending your kids there or not, or you end up moving or whatever.
Yeah.
But they made some silly decisions, and like we're all talking here about like the parkland and having things like that, and they had essentially not only the old school there, but they have
That playground.
A playground, a baseball field, swings.
Yeah.
And they short-sightedly, when the levy didn't pass, they kind of sold off all these properties that they had. And one is right across from the high school there, where they're going to build something there. It looks like they can build some houses.
They're building houses over there.
Just like it's just kind of sad and short-sighted. And they pretty much they're going to take that Browning Center, make it in. They pretty much took the playground out already.
Yeah.
I mean, you imagine they did the same thing at Ryan Park in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's just sad to see.
It is,
and
it sucks, man, because it's like just for that whole neighborhood there too.
Yeah.
You think about all the people that live over there that take their kids there like all summer. That's a huge area for the kids to go play, and it's in your neighborhood.
Like to be adding parks and not trying to take them away.
Yeah, I wonder what they're gonna do there. Like they sold off like you said, multiple properties.
Yeah, so on Monday they had I was driving by and I saw like a sign that said you can have a one of these Zoom meetings online. Yeah. And it was pretty much just the people. As I turned it on my computer, pretty much people of the neighborhood lambasting the guy who had bought the property, who was essentially taking questions. But there's a lot of people just telling. But really, it's short-sighted in the fact that this guy actually, it was unique. This guy lived in the neighborhood, and he happened to be a contractor too. Who bought the property and wanted to turn it into apartments. The school into apartments, like a bunch of like what he called high-end smaller apartments. And it was just pretty much people calling and yelling at him. But the thing was that I felt it was short-sighted. They should have been. Well, they should have been. They probably were yelling a while ago at the school district for selling the property in the first place.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that whole. As an outsider, not a Willoughby resident.
Yeah.
But skin in the game, like centers in Willoughby East, like school district. Yeah. It seemed the deception. From the outside that went on during these levies and what they were actually passing for years.
Yeah.
What they were actually passing. And then it all caught up and they said, well, you got to help us out here. It's like, no. Fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 13 times. I'm done, So I don't necessarily, I can see why they started failing.
Yeah.
Because everything was misappropriated, and how long can you get away with that before you have to make a change?
Well, yeah, you're paying tons of money.
What sucks is that who gets screwed? Not the people that were carrying out those levies and taking bonuses and all that kind of stuff. They're not getting screwed. Who's getting screwed is the kids, the families that live in the neighborhood, the residents, right? And so it's really, really unfortunate. And they passed one this year, right? So and like new board and things like that. So hopefully things get back on track because you hate to see that in one of our. I mean, Willoughby's a freaking amazing town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's got everything that you could want from a cultural standpoint, and there's an awesome restaurant scene, and there's things to do. We have. They do like the rib burn off and the chili cook off.
Yeah, although
there's these big things that attract thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
All that money's got to go somewhere.
Well, like the Browning Center, they made maybe $350,000 off that thing, and it was like I could have bought two of my houses.
Right.
And they said it cost $8 million a year or something like that to run the school district. So it's just like there's a drop in the water.
Right.
The entire,
yeah.
It's just so short-sighted. It's like couldn't we have come up with a better plan? And they built a part of that the YMCA, and they built a new senior center there. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know who was clamoring for that in the first place. I mean, I don't know what was wrong. I don't know what was wrong with the Browning Center. We could have put a little bit of money into that. Instead, you moved them out and then sold the Browning Center. So that neighborhood is gonna lose out.
Yeah, and if they're gonna be building apartments and that neighborhood.
The people were not happy
Well,
on the phone call.
Whoever was the developer for what was the elementary school in Menor? 615 Center Street. Yeah, talk to them about how that works out with the apartments.
I'm not sure.
It didn't.
I'm not sure. Do people live in that?
They turned that school into a bunch of apartments.
High-end apartments.
It was all high-end apartments, and they sat empty for years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then finally another developer came in and turned them into like the salon lofts and boutiques, whatever.
Now I think there might be a few places, but not as much as it was.
No, it was like a ton.
And those places were nice. They spent a ton of money on those.
They were expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem too. I mean,
That school was 100 years old when they went to do that. To
Right.
try to put some money into
Well,
it.
here's the thing too: is like you think about that, they're still constantly building neighborhoods in Menor.
Mm-hmm.
Any piece of land they could find, they're building houses
Everywhere. Yeah.
Okay, so think about it. A lot of those people that are moving into those houses are our age or younger, right?
Yep.
And they're having kids now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously you're from Menor, right? So the amount of kids that were there, I mean, they started shutting down all the schools, right? Getting rid of all those elementary schools are down to 2 junior highs. Well, those schools are going to be
cycle,
filling up, man. It's going to be like, okay, we need to build some new schools now.
Yeah. It's a tough. I mean, that's city planning.
I mean, there's nothing.
right?
There's nothing you
Like,
can really do about that. I mean, at the time, there's nothing you could do.
Yeah. It would be tough. It actually, like civics and city planning and things like that actually kind of interests me now. Like,
Well, when you start thinking about it, yeah.
because I'm a nerd now and I care about this
But you
stuff.
know though, because now it
Because it is
involves you
interesting.
because you live there.
Right.
I spent my Monday night watching a ward meeting in a ward I don't live in.
Yeah, Ward 5. I'm going to sit here and watch I'm going to tune in.
Fair enough. You
Yeah,
win there.
that's
You win that round. But no, like the life cycle. I mean, I look at it like businesses. All right. Perfect example is we obviously love whiskey. We drink a lot of it and we have a good time with it. And there's this boom right now with whiskey and bourbon and things like that. And it's hilarious to me because there's a boom and there's so much more demand than there is supply. So these distilleries went out there and are spending literally billions of dollars to renovate and expand their facilities so that they can make more product.
Yeah.
The problem is that most of these higher end whiskey companies are marketing 8, 10, 12, 15-year-old bourbons. So they're putting billions of dollars into it in 2020. Who's to say that the market's going to be there in 10, 12, 15 years when that product is now ready?
It'll be
Like-
on to the next fate, like the next fad, like craft beers were the
Yeah,
thing, right?
yeah.
That was like the thing.
That's
And
such a
places
scary
were opening
investment.
up everywhere.
Is that still not going? You're talking about it as if it went.
It didn't go away, but I'm saying like it's not. I don't feel like it's as
I feel
big.
like it definitely. I mean, okay.
I
don't think it went away.
We'll see. We'll see when this whole virus thing goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But but with the whole bourbon and like the whiskey thing, it's like it's huge. Like there's groups everywhere, and it's just so amazing how popular it is right now. And I'm talking to people like at work that I'm the same way. Shit, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was, I had no interest in drinking bourbon at all. I was like, man, I don't give a shit. Ian got me started on it, and we started this whole thing. And then next thing you know, I'm like, I love it. Like it's to the point where I came home the other day and there was a brown paper bag sitting on the counter, and Liz goes, "Really?" And I go, "Yeah." I pulled out. She goes, "Another bottle of Eagle Rare," and I'm like. She goes, "It's really weird that I know that." I'm like, it is kind of interesting.
It's amazing.
Or like when I told you that Ben saw the E.H. Taylor.
E.H. Taylor, and he's like, "Yeah,
the
that's
tube.
what Daddy's."
He's like,
drinks."
"Oh, Daddy's." I'm like, "Oh God." Like it's coming to
No,
this.
it's just insane though. Like the life cycle. Like who's to? I mean, think about a gamble. Like I think Buffalo Trace, they put close to $3 billion into their facility, like with a B.
So yeah,
That's insane.
like maybe we can get in a little bit of. So you're a business owner.
Yeah.
You know, so you have this mindset. You know what it takes to run a business. So you're taught
Theoretically.
But I mean, you have that mindset already, and you're obviously it's a little bit apples and oranges. You know, you're running
Sure,
daycares,
sure.
and you're producing a product on the other side.
Right.
But I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's probably interesting for you to think about
It is.
scale and all those things.
Yeah, I mean, well, I look at it from. I mean, remember these are again not apples to apples because I'm a small family-owned business versus these giant companies that have board members and shareholders and that they're responsible to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just crazy to me to think that like, okay, I'm going to take a gamble, like knowing what the history has been, right? Now, granted, somebody like Buffalo Trace, they've been around, I think they're either the longest or the second longest continuously operating distillery in the world. Like even through Prohibition, like they were able to operate. They were the only ones to get like a medical license to produce, so they've been doing it a long, long time. So they've seen all the ups and downs. They're a lot smarter than I am. They've clearly made a living out of
Well,
out of this
they've been
brand.
doing it for a lot longer.
Right. But But it just seems to me like, man, like that's a huge gamble.
Billions.
And it's not like they're, again, they're making warehouses to store 10, 12, 15-year-old whiskeys. And it's just like, dude, good luck.
Because
Like, so in 10 or
we're going to be
15 years,
for 15 years from now.
it's
It might
either
be
going to be everywhere or it's going to be even crazy. Who knows?
Who knows? But it could be on to the next thing at that point.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all about.
Sorry,
You're good.
I'm a novice. Is it like wine in the way that it ages better?
No. So wine. All right, I don't know a ton about wine, but I think that wine continues to age. Is that true? No, it can't be true. It's in a bottle.
See, I don't know.
All right, so
Is
That's why we need Bruno on the show.
Is there an advantage to having a 15-year-old wine versus a year-old bottle? I'm not wine. I meant whiskey.
Yes, potentially. So like this is probably, I don't know if it's going to say, so aged at least 4 years. That's about your
spring 2015.
Your low end, or not low end, but like your mid grade. I think so. Bourbon has to be at least 2 years. So they're saying a little bit more than 4 years. You're going to get more flavors and more complexity the longer that it's in a barrel.
Okay.
Now there is too long, I think, at least. Some people would disagree, but I've had some, 18 or 20 or 22 year, and they're a little,
sometimes they're a little
much for me.
Yeah.
But that's just me, and that's,
for example, look
that.
at like the Knob Creek.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we like the 12 over the 15.
Yeah, the 15 was just,
the 15 was good. Don't
it was
get me
good.
wrong.
That 12.
Well, didn't you guys say you're going to Kentucky?
We're supposed to be.
Okay.
We just don't know when.
Yeah, okay.
It was supposed to be February.
I was
right?
Yeah.
Or January.
It's supposed to be January, yeah.
The few times I've been to Kentucky, it's a beautiful place.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Oh, it's awesome, man.
It's gorgeous.
I've been there once. I went to a wedding there.
Yeah.
And it was amazing out
There's
there.
like beautiful rolling hills. Like, all right, off to the next
Well,
distillery.
it's just horses everywhere and like
horses and hills. Like,
Yeah.
off to drink more whiskey.
Yeah.
It's like,
And we're dying.
What
how
a
can
life.
you not be happy?
Yeah.
What
It's amazing.
So speaking of whiskey,
Oh, yeah.
So I brought this particular bottle for a reason. So New Riff Distillery, they are just on the other side of Cincinnati.
Covington?
Yep. They're a pretty new, been around for maybe 5-6 years, something like that. But their slogan or their name is, you can kind of see like some, I don't know what those are called.
Infinity symbols?
I think it's something to do with music because it's supposed to be a new riff on an old tradition.
Okay, I got you.
So music has definitely influenced their brand and what they do. And being that you are a musician,
Oh, great. Yeah,
I thought maybe that could have been a not as good as I thought of transition into talking about your band and things like that.
Yeah.
I got to work on that.
Yeah.
That was good.
Segues.
You nailed it.
No. Oh, well, I get the riff part here. Okay, yeah. So I have been. We talked about balance earlier, and actually, a lot of good things in my life personally have come out of this coronavirus stuff, and mainly is that I'm not having to drive 25 minutes to work and 25 minutes back from work.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And in that time, I've been able to, I probably lost 30 pounds since this thing started. I was able to get my health in order, spend more time with my family. Some of that is, like forced.
Forced, sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But, do those things.
Doesn't mean it's not a good thing.
And one really nice thing. My cousin, Kevin, the other member of our musical group, is, he's my cousin. We've been making music together for a long period of time. The first time we made an album was 2004. He was in 9th grade. I was in 11th grade. We've been making music since then. And then, we got in 2014, we made an album right before I knew I was going to have a kid. I said, let's try to get, that accelerated.
Let's move in a little bit.
Let's get something out there. That was fun and all. And then, my attention turned to, being a father,
Sure.
and then you had a second kid. And then, when this coronavirus hit, I never stopped writing music. But it was, there's a lot of parts. You write it, record it, see it through, and there's different parts to make
The whole
it's
process,
yeah, to make the product come alive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What somebody who's dumb and doesn't know anything about music, what I hear, there is so much more involved to getting it to that point.
Oh yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, a little bit. So my cousin and I, we're still good friends too,
Right.
you know, and he is an over the road truck driver. So he's been doing that for 3 years. He went through a period where he was trying to find himself rock bottom isn't probably the word, but he was not in a great place, and he found the truck driving. He found a lifestyle that kind of fit him, and he doesn't have any expenses. He doesn't have kids or anything. He just imagine how much money you're paying your house. You're building a house.
Right. Yeah.
He just lives in his truck. The guy's saving all kinds of money, making better decisions about his life. It's great, and but it also played into. So we were essentially a pop rock band, with guitars and drums and bass for all these years, circumstantially, I live in a house in Ridge Acres there, and he's living in a truck. We're looking for a music spot, and essentially, I would write these. How this album came to be, I would write these songs, and I'd on my acoustic guitar, I'd play them on a video. I'd send them to him. He'd watch them, and he would make essentially a beat on his computer in the back of his truck. And then, when in his times to get off the road, he'd come over and we'd set up some makeshift setup, kind of like something here, the microphone in my kind of small fourth bedroom, and I'd record the vocals, and that's
Wow.
That's pretty awesome.
It's kind of ingenuity, kind of is interesting. There's kind of a backstory to it, and then we're trying to make things work, but we see each other here and there. He's on the road for like 2 or 3 weeks at a time. Then he comes home briefly, and we're trying to constantly talk to each other. He's like, "Oh, I'm in Maine today." It's like, "Okay, cool." I'm gonna release this song. You okay with this idea? Yada yada, and it's been cool. And some other friends involved. We made 2 music videos. Because one thing, I don't have a ton of skills in life, but I'm a good networker, and I know people who have certain skills. Like, my buddy Billy, he can make a music video. He can help us. I can envision what we want to do, and he'd be able to make it come to life. And the second one, Kevin just filmed it himself, and it was about essentially infighting between my wife and I, or the song's called "Constructive," and it's just about what are we doing here? Is this?
I watched it earlier, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really well. It's really well done.
So I was like, is this constructive? Are we gonna rise above this?
Yeah.
Or what are we doing here? So we're not just yelling at each other. Are we getting something out of this kind of deal? And for a little while, I struggled about when I was younger, I felt like I could write and sing about whatever I wanted to. There's no attachments.
Yeah.
It's not like I said the wrong thing. My kid's teacher might hear it.
Yeah, exactly. Start thinking about that stuff.
Now it's just like you just kind of just write about what you know, and I'm talking about my relationship with my kids, or death always seems to be in the back of my mind, or the inevitability of it.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's part of the first single. So and there's not really an expectations. It's just that it makes me feel alive to make music and to feel like I have a purpose.
Yeah. I mean, we could relate to that with this.
outside of being a father.
Yeah.
Sure. We can definitely relate.
Yeah.
Because that sounds like exactly what we do.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, I bet, at least on some level, like there's got to be part of you that says, man, if we had all the time in the world and we both were living in the same area constantly, and we had a studio to go to, the bangers that we could put out, we could do, if we had the time to do it. On the other end of it, though, is having that story of you filming yourself playing something acoustically, and then him making a beat in his truck while he's supposed to be sleeping, and then recording the audio later, the vocals later, and like finding a way to put all that together and then still be able to do it. I mean, I guess the way I look at it is there's a million barriers right there to just say, this would be really cool to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times did we say, hey, let's do this podcast thing? And then we'd start, and then we'd be like, but kids are
kind
kind of fussy tonight, so maybe we'll do it another night.
Yeah.
Or, it's very easy to
Yeah.
put other things in the way. And if you're passionate about something and you want to do something, I think it's cool when people see that through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, wife was supportive about this. The, and being able to have friends. I had another buddy, kind of take pictures, make the album cover. Another person, help me with the music video. So things like that have been helpful. And it's fun to collaborate with people. I like that, and me and that person have a memory outside of me and my cousin.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool too, because you get other people involved, and then you and your cousin push each other to do more.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing with us. Like, we're always in contact. We can't get together
Right.
all the time. Like, we have our life outside of this.
Sure.
We get together like once a week, but like in between, you're like with you and your cousin, you guys are texting each other, calling each other, like, hey, I put this together, check it out. And same thing with us. It's like, hey, I came up with this idea. What do you think?
Right.
Bouncing those ideas off each other and then keeping it going and making something out of it and actually doing it is the cool part. And it's, like you said, it's fulfilling.
Yeah.
Exactly. It feels great to do something like
Well,
that.
there's something about creating.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I never really like considered myself to be a super creative person. More, was that right brain than left brain?
Yeah. I don't remember which one's which.
Whatever, whatever
something
side
like
it may
that.
be.
And I just don't know how true that is anymore. I don't know that call it evolution, call it just change, whatever. But I don't know. I find myself more and more thinking like, man, I really enjoy creating and like taking an idea and putting it on paper first, and then we talk about it, and then we do it, and I don't know. It's just pretty cool.
Yeah, it feels good. It's just a good feeling to actually put something out there. For us, it's awesome. We get to do this, and we get to hang out and do this all the time. But like at the same time, we have people on here, and they were like, that really meant a lot to me. That was, that really touched me in a way that like I touched me.
That's what she said.
There we go. But like people get really into it though, and they really appreciate what we're doing. Like, a lot of times we'll talk about it at the end. Like, holy shit, like this is great. You guys got to keep doing it, keep going, and that's that pushes us to keep going a lot of times.
Yeah, I think the best way to answer that question is when I would say for the first 9 months to a year, it was straight fun. Like we had a blast with it, and we still do. But at that like 9 month to a year mark, we made it a business. Yeah. We started we got a bank account.
Logo,
like it was, right. Like we took it a little bit more seriously, and so when you do those things, it does become work.
Yeah, because we got to keep it going. It's like before it was like you said, it was fun.
Well,
and
we didn't keep any schedules. It was like we'd put one out when we did one. Like it was whatever.
It wasn't too consistent, but now it's like, all right, like you said, it's like a business now.
It's
so
a
we're like,
job.
we got to make sure that we get this out. We have a schedule.
Well,
things
we're
have to come out.
responsible to sponsors now. It's part of a thing, and the fact that it's still fun and not like going to work, even though it kind of is, means that, we really enjoy it. And, if we can keep pushing it, we definitely will.
Yeah. And it's like same thing with you and your music, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get something out of it, right? I mean, sure, we don't think we all dream of being superstars, right? Sure. Like that's the goal.
Well, in this day and age, I don't know if I want to be a superstar.
Fair.
You say one thing or you believe something someone else doesn't believe in, and next thing you know, you're canceled. And
Dude,
it's
you almost can't
world.
speak your mind on anything.
Dude, I watch what I say.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, we swear up a storm on this.
Oh,
thing.
yeah, I don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah, we'll fucking swear all day. But you're right though. Like you have to be careful. Like your music too. Like what you sing about. Right? Like if you say the wrong thing, look, I mean, cancel culture, right? I mean, like people want to cancel Eminem. Like it's like, okay, well, you're offended about a song that came out in 2009.
Yeah, you should
go back to 2000.
Yeah.
You want to hear some shit.
Right.
But they are doing that though.
Yeah.
Look at cartoons.
Yeah.
Look at old shows. Like, I mean, they're just getting rid of everything.
I don't know if we want to get into this.
I don't, but I will, but I don't.
Let's go back to where we were so we can get a clean cut.
Yeah, music.
To
well, do like yeah, you're saying that you're making something. If it ends up being something bigger, okay, fine. But you're content with where it probably will end up.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
'Cause you did
no
it.
expectations, and you did something, and it's fun. And again, kind of back to creating. Creating is fun, and
Yeah.
it's cool to see something come full circle from an idea, and then it becomes something more than that. And I don't know. That's just pretty cool.
Well, sometimes I think about, if I live somewhere else, like, we're talking about like people we know, and I know who owns that. And
Yeah,
who owns
yeah.
that, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
connected. It's like the Kevin Bacon stuff. It's
right,
like,
yeah,
it's
6
like,
degrees,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like we at this point we lived here our whole life, and we know everybody, and we're somebody here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether it's
Yeah.
in some capacity or not. With the music, is a big community. I put music out, and all my old music buddies. I don't know if it's quite the same thing with the podcast, but there's a music community of old buddies that I played the Enclave across that we used to be down here, and,
Yeah,
and I played
yeah.
Malarkeys.
Yeah.
And these same people support me to this day, like I support them, and it's very, very cool, and it makes you feel like you're part of a community. It's very
I think
exciting.
there's something about, and you can call it big fish, small pond, but I think it's what it is if you can feel connected to a community, and you can feel pride in a community, and it's somewhere where you want to raise your kids, and you can then do more within that community. And, that could be creating music. It could be doing a podcast. It could be, just charitable giving and volunteering time and doing. If you're connected into that community, you're number one, you're setting an example for your kids, and that's amazing. But then number two, you're building the rest of the surrounding community up, so that way, when your kids are in their 20s and 30s, hopefully there's a lasting impression. I mean, we talk legacy on the show all the time, and I know I think about legacy all the time. I think it's kind of cool that, we've been barbershop. Our buddy owns Marky Fresh. Take my kid there to go get his haircut and stuff like that. Every time, just the look on his face when he sees, hey, there's you and Uncle Steve on the TVs. They have, they run ads for us and stuff like that. How cool is that? Like, you're in LA or something like that. That's not going to happen,
No, but like around
or,
here,
or at
nobody.
least,
Yeah.
or at least not until you reach a certain level,
Yes.
I guess, and then just things way different.
But if you're in Lake County,
yeah,
people know about you. People, it's funny. You run into people and they're like, "Oh, you mentioned like,
I think
hey, I
it
do a
means
podcast,"
more.
and you say something about like the name of it. They're like, "Oh, I've heard of you guys." It's like that's cool, man.
I think it means more.
it does.
Because again, the expectation isn't there to be, number one charts, things like that. That's not the the expectation is to provide value, come up with some good content, have fun, learn something.
Yeah.
And kind of back to what we first started talking about is have a hobby or have something that you do that helps you identify yourself in a positive light,
Sure.
Well said.
And I think that's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, and it like I said, it was kind of a blessing of the coronavirus here to have time to do that.
Sure.
I actually had this like kind of dread moment last weekend where I was like, it feels like the first world problems. Oh, there are people going to work since day one. I mean, I understand that, and this, I'm not trying to compare myself to people, but I just and I've been doing my job. My job is computer based, and I've been working at home, and it's like, well, I'm gonna have to go back to work and get out of my routine that was really working for me and my family.
And maybe not though. Maybe your work might be like, hey, this works out for us where you don't need to come into the office.
Well,
It's
some
been
kind
working
of-
for a year.
some kind of quasi thing. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I've talked about a couple times in just business communities is like transition number one. I think everyone was pleasantly surprised at how well we took it, right? Like businesses just being told you can't operate and, oh, well, you can operate, but you can't have anybody in the office. So you got to go home. And like, we went from most places, at least, zero plan for any kind of pandemic, like distancing, things like that. And we talk about the schools.
Yeah.
In a matter of weeks, they put these plans together and made it work. The
Dude, like,
adaptability of business and schools, amazing.
Some of these places, like it was short notice. like, hey, guess what? You guys are working from home, and you get into the office, and there's a stack of laptops,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the IT guys are running around like chickens with their heads cut off, like
Right.
just trying to figure out like, this is yours, this is what you got to do, like explaining to everybody how they got to log in from home, and like,
Yeah.
think about a place like Zoom,
No
Zoom
one knew what
meetings.
Zoom was.
Like, what's
Yeah,
Zoom?
I mean, barely.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
yeah, we had conferences with people before, but it's like that was in the office. It was a lot easier, but now we're doing it like
Yeah, that was in the conference room where it's already set up.
yeah, it's all set up,
like,
and you just
somebody else comes in and
coming from your
presses the
office.
button.
Yep. All right, we're all here. Now it's like log into Zoom. You got to do that with schools, like
Yeah.
a place like Progressive. Like talking to Spence the one day, he's like, we walked in and there was just thousands of laptops just sitting in a pile, and there's just you walk into there, boom, see ya, boom, see it. Like just this is what we're doing now, and a year later they're still doing it.
Well, and that's what I was getting at, though, is transition number 2 is going to be the interesting one, because now people and businesses have had a taste of, and it's a pretty big sample size at this point. It's been a year where, oh, we can operate this way. Oh, I'm pretty good at working from home. This works for my family.
Yeah.
And not everyone, some
not
people,
everybody.
some
Some
people cannot wait to get back in the office, and hey, whatever works for you.
Yeah. Might not have that option though.
But you might not have that option. Maybe
Yeah.
it's stay home.
Maybe they're like,
it's,
we don't need to have these
you know,
office buildings.
Right. And so people are going to have to come to grips with the new normal, or whatever the hell we're going to dub that.
Yeah.
But
Well, we got a strange thing where I work. So I work for the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District, and we have we're a sewer utility. So we have wastewater treatment plants, and we have maintenance crews that maintenance our large interceptors and sewers, and those people are all union employees, and they have to go to work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like someone has to run the plant. Someone has to be there.
Right, those are
Yeah.
essential services.
They have to turn wrenches.
Right,
they,
right.
they can't work their job from home.
Yeah, that's not an option.
So that's 2/3 of the employees maybe, and then I'm like in administration area.
support side,
I'm
right.
I'm like essentially mapping out our sewers on the data side,
yeah.
and so there is a little bit of pressure to get me. There's a pressure that I've been coming to work the whole time,
Right.
Like, this guy's at his house, and there's pressure like that we feel. So it's a little
Absolutely.
that's
I get
fair,
that.
But I think that I would say to that too is
It's a career.
talk to parents
Yeah.
trying to work from home. Plus, like, especially when the schools weren't in,
That was
daycares
about
were
half the
closed.
time here. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not easy.
I'm here to tell you, it is not easy to try and carry on a full-time job and parent.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear how your business took on the coronavirus, or
Sure.
were you essentially closed at times? Were you
Yeah.
open somewhat?
So it was March. I think it was March 19th.
I'm sure you've told this
that
story
we
on the
closed.
podcast before. But
Not in a while. So here's what I remember. I remember right around this time last year, it was a Tuesday, and what's his name? Governor.
DeWine.
DeWine. Daddy
St.
DeWine.
Patrick's Day was the Tuesday that was the last time I was at work, or the day
Right.
before.
So it was like maybe a week before that then, that it was a Tuesday, and it was like 2:30, because it was always wine with the DeWine at 2 or 2:30,
Trying to figure out what the
whatever
hell's
it
going
was.
to happen. Yeah.
What was going to happen, and at 2 or 2:30, whatever it was, he goes, as of right now, bars and restaurants are closed. No warning.
Yep.
And
As
I
of
was
right
like,
now.
holy shit.
Yeah,
like,
that was my wife. Yeah.
how can you do that to these businesses, And like, granted, at that time, everything was pretty scary and, whatever.
And you were thinking, oh boy, what about my business?
I knew it. I knew that
It's
we were
coming
going to
up
be
next.
next.
Yeah.
And so we made a really difficult decision to close the next week before we were ordered to. And I was pretty upfront with parents. I was like, look, I don't want to tell you on a Thursday to come pick up your kids, make a plan, because we can't operate anymore. I would rather say that next week we're going to close, and now you at least have a week. And the same thing with my staff. And to be fair, at that time, we planned on closing for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, that was we had all the.
That's what everybody was doing though. It's like,
I
it's going to be a
wrote that
couple
was
weeks.
A couple weeks, and so we did that, and we didn't. So that was in March, and we didn't come back until June 1st.
Was it that long?
It was June 1st.
Holy
Now,
shit.
2.5 months.
2 of my centers, we did apply for and receive a pandemic care license, where we were allowed to operate under crazy stipulations, and I'd have just as many
Wearing
teachers there as
bubble
I did
suits,
kids. And,
Yeah.
so we did that for a little bit and we could only take, quote unquote, essential employees. So that was kind of a weird thing. So we did that for a little bit, but then, you get back to normal, you can operate normally now. Okay. Not everyone else is though. And so, still to this day, like our enrollment is way, way down.
Yeah, because a lot of people are
working from home.
Yeah. And they're like, I don't need to do it. So
what I've said for our particular situation is if it was a month, maybe 2 months, I don't think there would have been much change. Like go back to normal, fine.
Yeah.
But it's been a year and people have figured out other options.
Yeah.
And look, I'm the first one to understand childcare is not cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if people who are already financially strapped because of the pandemic, whether you lost your job or your hours were cut or whatever, if you're already in a different financial situation, of course you're going to try and find a way to save money. Is it the best thing in the world for the kids? I don't know. Time will tell. Like we will find out, when basically our kids are a little bit older, and I think our kids are going to be fine.
Yeah.
I think they're young enough. But we just don't know that we've never done this in history. So
we'll find out.
I think about actually the three of us are probably in a good spot as far as the coronavirus. I think about other people going through this time period and they have it worse. Like my parents and probably your parents. I don't they probably they worried my dad won't let me over his house without a mask on.
Yeah.
I don't see him all that often, and it's kind of a bummer. Or you were like a high school graduate.
I think
you
about
couldn't have a
parents
graduation party.
Yeah,
Or
graduation
something,
parties, things like that. Yeah.
I think of the parents of the kids in like high school.
Yeah.
Like,
that's difficult, man.
Yeah, or being the kid.
Being
in
the
high
kid,
school.
right.
Being a kid,
Right.
like we talked about this before. Like imagine being an athlete.
Yeah.
Like last year, you didn't get your senior year you didn't get to play your baseball season. Basketball didn't get to play their playoffs.
Well,
like they just cut it all off. Like
I went to Mentor High, so I still followed the sports there, and I was watching the football team had made it to the Final Four. There are 4 teams left in Division I, and their quarterback, I noticed Ian Kipp, their quarterback, who was a senior, who had been the quarterback since 10th grade. He got a redemption shot. He had lost to this Pickerington Central team the year before.
Yeah.
He's got a redemption shot to beat this team. And
he gets COVID.
And he
was around someone. It was like
He was a close contact.
Yeah, he was in close. He didn't even have it. He was in close contact, and he can't play in a game that he's living his whole life for up until he's 18
Imagine
years
that.
old.
You dream of that moment your entire childhood.
I remember the backup. I watched the game. The backup played real well.
He did really well.
And they were in the game. They didn't win the game, but it was like, could you imagine being Ian Kipp and now the basketball team. He's on the basketball team at 23-0 or something like that.
Yeah, they're so good.
It's just imagine being him. Like me, us three, we're okay. We're not gonna miss out on probably a super big,
Right.
But I had a buddy.
That's a moment though. Think about that. Be like, hey, you talk about that for the rest of your life. Sit at a bar, man. I'll tell you, when I was in state, I was starting quarterback, and but then I was around somebody that had COVID, and I couldn't play.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Can you imagine? He didn't even have it.
Right.
I had a buddy the other day. Unfortunately, he was supposed to get married last year, and then I got pushed back to August or something. Then I got pushed back again till May of this year, and just a few weeks ago, his dad died, and I said, oh my God! If it wasn't for the COVID, he would have.
His dad would have been at his wedding.
His dad would have been at his wedding. He would have seen this stuff, and then it's just like
that's other stuff that you don't even think about.
That is devastating.
My sister-in-law got married in October.
Yeah,
and I remember I felt terrible for them. My wife's side of the family, big Irish family, tons and tons of people, all really close cousins and things like that. And they had to go through and cut their list.
Yeah.
Like there was restrictions. I mean, so they moved it from, it was supposed to be January 1st of this year. And in order to get it in, they moved it up to October.
And still,
it was like an outdoor wedding and you know, safe as possible. But in order to do so, they had to cut their list from like 400 and something people to like 60 or 80 or something like that.
That's insane.
And they were very upset about it.
Well, yeah.
I'm like,
I mean,
why don't you guys
imagine
just
cutting your
wait,
list,
you know?
man. Exactly.
But like, hey,
but you want to get married.
They did it, and like they're planning on having like a big party, but like you don't know what's going to happen in that time.
No.
Like,
Unfortunately. Yeah.
it's insane, man.
Even when you push it back from January, you're like, maybe in October things will be normal again. You know, and it's like
Right.
you just don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
And I'm also hearing things. I don't know for sure. I haven't been in this situation, but you know, certain like when my child was born, I don't know what's going to be like when your child is born here pretty soon. But like when my child was, both my kids were born. My parents were like at least in the waiting room. One time, my mom was in there.
Yeah, these
my
people.
mother-in-law
This
were
whole
in
year,
there.
these people didn't have any family in the hospital. Like
Yeah,
you could run out. You could run
Just
out and be
you
like,
and
"It's a
your wife.
boy."
Yeah, you and
you
your
know,
wife. Good luck. You know
We've
what I
talked
mean?
to some dads who weren't even allowed in the room
Yeah, it's and that,
as the dad.
So I mean,
so
that goes back to
terrible.
an overarching conversation that we're actually in good situation.
100%
I'm
agree.
already married. I have 2 kids. I'm not gonna have any more
Yeah.
kids. Like even during the coronavirus, I'm able to make music.
Kids
I'm able
are a
to go
little
to
bit
parks.
younger.
I'm
Yeah.
able to do things I want to do.
Kids are a little bit younger to where
They're not really
don't
missing out on
think that
anything.
they're going to miss out on a ton, and like anything that they do, like academically, they'll be able to bounce back
Yeah,
from.
my
you know?
son was able to play baseball this summer. My
Yeah, we
son,
played baseball,
played
yeah.
basketball.
Yeah.
You know, he was
Yeah.
able to do.
You get to do those
things.
activities. Sure, we missed out on a lot of stuff, other
birthday
activities,
parties and stuff like
Birthday
that.
parties,
but,
yeah.
You know, hey.
made life a little more simple.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, last week we had our buddies James and Gary on the show, and James Schleicher, I don't know if you know him or not, but he's a wealth of knowledge.
He's a Willoughby guy.
Yeah,
I
he's a Willoughby
recognize
guy,
the
yeah.
Schleicher name. There's a few Schleichers. Yeah.
But he said something that I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. He said, life always gives you what you wish for, just not how you wished for it. And so he was like, for example, like he's one of these guys, he's literally, I think it's top 6% in the world at what he does. So he's an insurance guy. Okay. But he every year is on this top 6 list, you know. And he's like, you know, being that successful, doing all of that comes with a price. Like I work long hours and this and that, you know. I always wished for more time with my wife and my kids. And, you know, he got it.
yeah,
you
it's
know,
not the way you thought you would.
not the way you thought you were going to get it.
But he looked on the bright
you
side of
get
it.
And you do. You have to look on the positive side. I like what you said. It's like, hey, we're in a good spot. I got to spend a lot more time with my kids, and I get to take them to the parks on lunch instead of walking around downtown. You know, I think that's how we have to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Make the best of, and, you know.
there's a lot of terrible things out there. You know,
So it was the first year and probably since like 1994 that I didn't go to an Indians game. You know, but it was like,
Same,
okay,
same.
it's like, all right, well, you know, I'm a huge Indians fan, but it's like, okay, I can live with some things. You know what I mean?
yeah, you can get
But,
over that.
I was going to comment on it. It's such a
The hat is
You
amazing.
know what I did snag it from my dad. So when I was 7, I was born 1988. So when I was 7, I got to go to the I'm a huge Indians fan, and my dad had season tickets growing up. I was lucky to have season tickets. Sorry, I made my chair go down.
Oh, yeah, one. There you go.
We need to put a counter on our.
We
on
do
our
need a
buttons.
bing.
You almost have to stand
You
up.
have to stand up completely.
Okay.
No weight on it, and hold that. There you go. It happens all the time. Don't worry.
Literally
Okay,
everyone does it.
Cool. Yeah, it's like talking about the Indians and
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. That's how it
There's
is.
a sign.
There it is.
There's a
like,
sign.
I got a wealth of knowledge. You'll find out I have a wealth of knowledge about things that don't really matter.
Yeah,
you know
well,
what I mean. Like this
same.
guy knows about insurance, and it's
as a
making him
dad should.
it's making him lots of money. And I could tell you every Indians player on the 40-man roster and what they make and what their contract is, but it does not get me anywhere in life.
But it's fun to talk about.
Yeah, but it's fun to talk about. But what we talk about? Yeah, well, my dad was a season
First-
ticket.
You didn't get to go.
year
Yeah, you didn't get to go to the games.
Yeah,
since
well, I
then.
got to go to World Series game 5, and I was the Greg Maddux. I got to see a picture in game. I guess he, you know, all I remember is Jim Thome and Ryan Klesko hitting home runs, and I was 7 years old. I mean, I've been going to Indians games since 1994. I mean, I got to go to one game at Municipal Stadium. I've been going to games, and it was the first summer that I guess John Adams is going to miss his first opening day.
Yeah, he is.
He's not going to be there.
It says there was an article about it today.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just you know.
Wait, why?
I don't know.
Sure. I didn't read
it. I just saw the headline. I didn't read
Yeah.
about why. I was just like, oh, here we go. I'm so like calloused now that when I see like
I
something
know.
like that, I'm like on to the next
know.
bad news. You know,
Right.
You know, like Joe Tate just died
I
this
know.
week. Like,
Well, yeah, you made a Les Levine comment. Me and Les Levine were pretty tight. I love the old guard.
Yeah, Wes
in
Levine,
town.
man.
I think the old guard in town. Him, Greg Brenda, Jim Ingram. These guys are like I grew up with. I'm like an old man at 32. And I'm like I like the old guys. I used to wake up and read the paper and read Jim Ingram in the News Herald.
yeah,
like
absolutely.
I was. I'm not a whippersnapper. I'm like,
yeah, exactly, man. That's what I think about Joe Tate, though, man. I remember listening to him on the radio, like being little, like going to the game with my dad, go to a Cavs game, but we would leave
He'd be
early.
sitting upstairs with everybody else.
Yeah,
kind
Right.
of.
the guy was
right.
amazing, and his knowledge for the game and just the way he talked was just so amazing. Like, he drew this picture. Like, I remember leaving Cavs games with my dad and my brothers, and like listening to Joe Tate on the radio on the way home, and just like that. Just listening, he just painted the picture. Like, you could listen to it, like you could see it, like you're still at the game.
It's funny when you're a kid too. Is you I don't care if it's baseball and your bottom of the ninth and full count, and you're running through the scenarios in your head in backyard baseball, or you're playing 2-on-2 and you're counting down. For
always the buzzer beater.
And like, it's hilarious. Like when we think about how we say those in our heads or out loud, and it's typically in the voice.
It's Hammy.
Of
It's Joe
Hammy
Tate.
or Joe Tate, or it's these guys. I mean, even like now when like my kid was doing flag football the other day, and I'm like watching this play. Whatever. It wasn't that organized yet, but like, I'm hearing Jim Donovan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like I'm talking it through in my head of what they're doing, and like I hear those guys as those iconic voices, right? And I don't know, I think that's pretty cool. They definitely have a lasting impression, especially for sports junkies, because that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
Like
I have a memory about all these guys. I remember we used to park at the Galleria and then walk up East 9th because it was free to park at the Galleria if you were season ticket, and walk up East 9th. And I remember walking, must have been about 1999, and we're walking past Jim Donovan. My dad goes, "Hey, it's the voice of the Browns." And he goes, "Thank you."
Yeah.
I was
But you remember that, yeah.
Remember that.
I remember I went to Goodyear in 2017. I remember going there real early and waving to Jim Rosenhaus and to Tom Hamilton,
2017.
and Rosenhaus has to get Tom's attention.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, there's a guy waving at you." He waves down at me. It's like just little things like that.
That's the thing about
Was I
sports,
there?
though. Like just thinking about those type of things. Like, I remember going to Lakeland Community College, and the Browns used to have they used to practice
The
there.
camp there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
been
camp.
there in a while.
It's
You're
been a
showing your
long
age.
time. Yeah, right. God, it makes me feel really old. But I remember that, man. Like, sports, it always takes you back.
Yeah.
Like, just
I think I was in Goodyear in 18. I don't think.
So I did snag this hat from my dad.
It's awesome. So-
I have a 95 World Series hat,
I made
but-
the mistake of going over there with him. He's like, "Wait a minute, that's mine. What are you doing?" I'm
Like, no, you got me one too,
what are you
Dad.
What are you talking about? Yeah,
Bought this on
two of 'em.
eBay.
I tried on. So I had a 95 World Series hat.
Yeah, that's
It's got the Wahoo on the front.
Yep.
World Series logo on the side. This fitted hat, and I was like,
Red brim or blue brim?
it's all blue.
all blue.
All
I like
blue
that
hat,
one.
all navy. The hat is
They
amazing.
had a red one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still have that hat in my basement. Oh, it's signed by Sandy Alomar.
Nice.
Because remember when they used to go to the mall?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
At, like,
met
Chad OJ.
that
They were
Erica,
like in the,
Yeah, like-
in the middle of the
In
mall.
the middle of the mall, you go wait in line with your memorabilia, and they would go over there and sign it for you. Man,
Yeah.
I remember I have all kinds of different Cavs players. Man, I have a
I
Larry
did that when I was
Nance
a kid. I have a
autograph
Len
picture.
Barker ball from that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
God, I have them all in my basement.
Yeah.
I had a Bobby
Bobby Phills.
Bobby Phills autograph photo.
Nice. I thought you were gonna say Bobby Boucher.
Yeah, I got a Bobby
That's
Boucher helmet. Saw you on the ESPN.
Yeah, we,
Like Tiger Woods and his daddy.
Forget school. Take the money, dummy. Movies.
so good.
That's another thing, right?
Oh,
Wealth
yeah.
of knowledge and movie quotes, but
That's
that's
what
about
we
it.
have,
We
yeah.
have that.
Yeah.
We've done like entire shows before where all we do is speak in movie quotes. And
Yeah, I wonder if that, like, it sounds like you guys maybe like a 3 or 4 year gap between age. I wonder if that affects, like, I mean, because I was in an age where all we do is just quote Anchorman all day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
we could
sure
do
you're
that.
still
We
in
do
there.
too. Yeah, oh, yeah.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Anchorman
we
all
did
day.
earlier, right?
Yeah. I mean, we do it all the time.
No, that's great.
Yeah. I mean, well, I think that's just like the product of being around, at least for him and I, like
Yeah.
we've known each other since we were like 4 or 5 years old. So like every movie that was big for us, we were seeing together multiple, times, and so we can just do that. It's
always. It's like a language. It's a language we speak.
Our wives get so pissed when we're all hanging out.
They're just like, here we go.
Can you guys talk English? And we're like,
we are.
It is.
Yeah, this is part of our language.
Read a book.
Yeah, let's read a book. Muhammad's one of the most common names in the world. Read a book.
There aren't
a
lot of movies like that anymore. The comedy is in a strange place, and I don't want to have this cancel culture conversation right now, but I'm just saying
it's hard not to.
It's just hard. It's hard to have every time I watch Austin Powers, like, why did they stop making these movies? These are hysterical.
They were so good.
They were amazing. 3 for 3, and they could have went on forever if they wanted to.
All right,
amazing.
Why did we stop doing this stuff?
You say Austin Powers, and the only thing that, like, every time I see this happening, I think of Austin Powers is every time I see somebody parallel park. And they're going,
yes.
That's all I think about is, what is that? Is that Goldmember or is that the second
one?
No,
that's that would be the first one.
Is it the first one?
No, it's the second one, I think.
But he's kind of blurred together because they're all that good.
Because they're good, yeah. And then, like, because he's stuck between the wall, and he, like, when he puts it in reverse, he, like, turns backwards. It looks behind him. It's like, that is freaking gold. No, another one, too, is the steamroller. When that guy, when he's when they're both on there, and the guy's just standing there, no! And they zoom out. He's like 50 feet away. Get out of the way!
That brand of comedy, number 2,
it's gold. Remember,
who are you, number 2? Who does number 2 work for?
That's right. Tell that turd who's boss.
Well, there was a moment recently, and I keep telling everybody I come into contact with. There's this humor tell me the last time you saw something like this in a movie. He's following Dr. Evil up a ladder. Austin is, and he looks up and he's like, Dr. Evil, I knew you were evil, but now I can see your nuts.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he turns to the camera,
Yeah.
And it's like,
so good.
That doesn't exist. When was the last time you saw
Mike Myers,
comedy?
man.
When was the last time you saw comedy?
There's the thing, like, you see a comedy nowadays, you're not reciting those lines because the movies just aren't the same. It doesn't have that same feel. I feel like they went away after, like, Wedding Crashers.
Oh, yeah, but that's 15 years ago.
Or like
you motorboating son of a bitch.
Yeah, like yeah,
You old sailor, you.
We can do that all day. Or maybe the last one might have been, I don't know what was first, Wedding Crashers or
Old School.
No, not Old School. That was way earlier.
I know.
Or the shake and
but
bake,
that is
yeah.
No. Hangover. The first Hangover.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah.
That's I think that's like the last really good comedy I saw in a theater, and it was like, that was awesome.
But you couldn't say paging doctor.
Exactly.
You can't say it.
We've had this conversation before. They actually changed the official trailer. So that was in the official trailer, played in a Super Bowl ad.
Yeah.
And that was 2008.
8 or 9, yeah, something
That's
like that.
not that long ago that
That was okay.
That was part of an official movie. They paid millions and millions of dollars to
only
be
thing
put
that gets
out
away
there.
with that kind of stuff? South Park.
No, you're right.
They get away with everything.
You know what? I meant to take. They had a special.
They had the vaccine special last night.
Watch it, and I didn't see it. Yeah,
You're aging yourself. You just said you were about to tape it.
I always love that. You always catch people too, because they're like, when they say, when they're like, hey, videotape that.
Yeah.
Well, my dad was a religious, like, he'd put the videotape in and tape.
Well, same.
He was all about that. Yeah,
absolutely. We've talked about how, like, I taped over many, like,
home
videos to watch, like, to record a movie or a show
that you have on 3 other VHS tapes.
Yeah, but I'm like, oh, the day of my birth.
Yeah.
Record. It's gone.
There's a new episode of Ninja Turtles on. I gotta get this.
I'm watching it, but I'm gonna record it.
Well, so I mean, comedy's in a strange place.
You just gotta be careful though. That's the thing. You can't really get away with anything.
In my opinion, at least, I think comedy, because so all these movies, I think, were done by people that did stand up.
Yeah.
And so once the stand-up scene...
Judd Apatow is behind most of
them.
Yeah,
that's true.
Or Mike Myers.
But like a lot of those guys, they either weren't great at stand-up, so they went to SNL, or they went to, or straight into film, and that's where their careers flourished. To whereas I think stand-up got such a revitalization. And so like the comics of today, they're just doing stand-up. And then it's almost like if you can't make a Chappelle show, then why even bother? And that sucks because I think we've lost out on a lot of good opportunities to have some really talented people make comedy movies.
For sure.
And I think comedy just got a lot raunchier.
Now?
You think comedy got raunchier?
I do. Do you listen to some of the stand-up shit?
Yeah, I do. But
I think it's like it's raunchier, but it's a lot more careful.
Well,
I think they used to hit a lot more
Maybe
points.
I guess maybe I'm talking 5, 6, 7 years ago. Is it got really, really raunchy and risque, and so like I think it was harder to make movies. Like again, old school Wedding. Those were like the last movies that really got away with some shit.
Yeah.
The Hangover, yeah.
The Hangover, right? Like once those were done, I feel like they just like movie.
Well, it's
studios
tough though
just
because
didn't
you
want
even
to take a chance.
I saw a comedy show 2 years ago. I went to see Chris D'Elia, and he was talking about like how difficult it is to be a stand-up comedian.
I bet.
Yeah.
He's like, Cleveland's great. He's like, I could say some shit here. Nobody cares. He's like, I go to Colorado. He's like, I start talking about being a dolphin or something. He's like, oh, and then somebody stands up in the crowd. Oh, maybe don't say that, okay? Because it's very offensive to dolphins. Like he's like, you have to be very careful what you say nowadays, because people will rip you apart.
Are you workaholic? You into Workaholics? He had a great episode of Workaholics.
Workaholics is such a great show.
Yeah, I mean, like, but that was one of the, saving grace in the time where you're just like, not sure where comedy's going, but at least that was good. And it was
good.
Fast, and they got out while the pick was still good to go.
But the nice thing is though, is like now you could still watch those things. They're still there.
Yeah.
Like you could watch the Chappelle show.
Yeah.
Like you could watch those things on.
I mean, I could recite the Chappelle show.
The Chappelle show was. That's where Bill Burr started, man.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah, we used to come in. We used to come into school, and I was in 10th grade at the time during season 2. And we used to come into school,
kids.
and went. We would come out on a Wednesday. On Thursday morning, we would all stand around and talk about how good the episode was. Like you don't have appointment television like that anymore, but like it was appointment television,
Right?
And you'd be like, oh, I see the Rick James sketch. Like,
Yeah,
oh my
right.
Because
God,
another
it's
thing too is you could talk about it the next day, because back then it was on and that was it. Really,
That's
you know what I mean? Like,
10:30 on Wednesday night. You knew
'cause, like,
where to be.
Oh,
But-
don't spoil it for me. I'm gonna watch it.
But
tomorrow.
now it's like, hey, Ian, did you
We're
catch
still
that?
watching
Did you
it
catch that
tomorrow.
episode? It's like,
Right.
oh no, I gotta wait to watch it.
I gotta wait till next week when the rerun comes
Yeah.
out. What's a rerun?
Yeah.
Well, they used to double them with South Park. They
Yeah,
should-
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's back to back, man.
Um,
But yeah, it's just a different time, man. It's just
It is.
it's fun to look back on.
You
that
know,
kind
it's
of
funny
stuff.
to think about all the movies too that were not raunchy that were still classics. Like I think of like Chris Farley and David Spade. You know,
Those movies. Oh
with
god,
Black Sheep, Tommy Boy. I don't know. There's
those movies are
those
still in.
they
in
weren't
rotation,
super
yeah.
raunchy.
no, but they're hilarious.
They're classic.
They're just so good.
I don't know. Hopefully we'll see some more of that. I don't know.
Maybe one day, but we could always go back and watch them.
Yeah.
We have that option.
Some of these guys, like
Unless they cancel it.
Sandler continues to put out movies.
Yeah,
and,
But it's not
they're
the same, though.
Yeah, you're right. And I watched a Will Ferrell movie where he was him and I forget the girl
Kevin
from
Hart?
the girl from The Notebook. She's Rachel McAdams. They're Norwegian singers, and I had a good laugh out of it. But it's not quite the same as watching Anchorman or the NASCAR movie. I'm forgetting.
Ricky Bobby.
Talladega Nights.
Talladega Nights. It's not
so
quite
good.
it's not quite the same. Yeah. But there were some funny moments. He's like I love it in this small Norwegian town, and then like two whales come up out of the water. It's like
Just so ridiculous.
yeah.
I love Will Ferrell.
I miss that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I know.
I do too.
The dumb comedy. This is so good. Yeah,
So
well,
good.
whatever.
Well, I grew up. My dad was a huge like slapstick guy. Like we watched all these
Airplane
Naked
and-
Gun.
yeah.
Airplane's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
ever.
so good.
There's a part in Airplane 2 where Sonny Bono is standing in front of a Rocky, or it's like Rocky 112. Do you know what I'm talking
Yes.
about? And it's like this old man, like,
awful.
and the whole premise of the movie is they're going to Mars, and Sonny Bono, of all people, is there to sabotage the thing. And it's just like these Abraham Zucker and Zucker. These movies don't exist anymore, and I'm
was
worried.
genius.
I'm worried about that. I mean, there's nothing really offensive about Sonny
No.
Bono blowing up a plane that's going to Mars. Like,
No,
like,
it's
But
random.
it's random.
and-
That's like the Naked Gun movies, man. It was just,
Yeah.
it was phenomenal.
Leslie Nielsen had a gift. That
Like,
I don't
you
know
remember
why
O.J.
people have.
Simpson in that when they try to show the scene from like it was like Al Capone movie, and he's the Untouchables, and the baby, he catches the baby, that he goes spiking out of the ground. He's doing his end zone dance, and the mom comes over and grabs the baby. Like, it's just so stupid, but it was amazing.
Yeah, and his name is, he has this really Jewish Nordberg name in the movie. So it's just like, the movie, he's just hysterical. And I wish and hope the comedy gets back to that, you know?
Yeah, that would be really great. I mean, yeah.
Really dating ourselves here. Yeah. Back in my day. We get into the get off my lawn kind of stuff all the time. Well, we're there.
Well, we want to tie it into being dads. I mean, I don't think my kid is ready to really understand a Naked Gun movie, but like I appreciate that my father showed me. Wait, you're gonna want to watch this airplane movie.
My dad used to do for like movies like Bloodsport and things like that, or like Commando. Mm-hmm. Like he would go through the movies. And he had it on tape. Mm-hmm. What he would do is he would cut out like sex scenes and things like that. I didn't notice that until later on when I would like watch the movies later. I'm like, I never remember this part. Like, but my dad would dad hack. 3. Oh, 3. But yeah, dad hack there. Like he would be able to. He would edit the movies for us. So like if there was something that like we probably shouldn't see, like even if it was okay to watch Arnold Schwarzenegger murder 95 people and just blow them up and like throwing like like circular saws into people's faces, but the sex scenes, let's cut that part out.
Right. No, I do it. Yeah.
But you know, I mean, it's just. Fair, but here's the thing: I saw that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. It didn't make me a terrible. I'm not like a serial killer because I watched movies like that. You know what I mean? Like, but now it's like, am I?
Not a serial killer yet.
It's still there. I watched Dexter. I kind of know how to get away with it.
That's true.
So
that's coming back.
It's such a good show.
You know that?
I did not know
another season.
You watched Dexter, though?
My wife is a huge fan. There was a time in my life we had a roommate, and she and the roommate would watch the movie all the time. And I was in class. I would watch movies. Yeah. I mean, it was her thing and not my own.
Okay.
I understand the premise. I remember that same actor when he was in this show 6 Feet Under. I used to watch. Yeah. But I'm sorry, I'm not a Dexter.
That's okay. No,
that's okay.
Somebody got me started on it, and I fell in love with it.
I understand the premise.
Yeah,
he's essentially a good guy taking matters in his own hands.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, it's not even that he's a good guy. It's more about. I mean, I don't know if you care, but
artfully
to me,
killing people.
It's the classic struggle within of like right and wrong.
Yeah.
How do you cope with these urges?
Yeah.
And
his dark passenger.
The dark passenger, and can you do that in a way? Or like what's too far? Things spin out of control. Things like that.
Yeah. Kill somebody he kills an innocent man.
But there's a code.
Has a tough time. Yeah, there's a code that he lives by, and he has to only kill.
I understand.
Terrible people.
Yeah. It's an awesome show.
I know the most deaf is that show. That's all
it's those type of show that like keeps you on edge though, because he's always like right there. It's like he's about to get caught, and it's and it's so stressful.
It's so stressful. Well, that's why they're redoing it though, because the ending of the show sucked.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
that's a common theme.
Game of Thrones sucked, but it sucked.
Yeah,
and so they're bringing him back and everyone back to redo basically the last season. Like I don't think it's a complete like don't remember that ever happened.
Yeah, but
they're
trying to make up for it,
a better ending to the story.
I like that.
Okay,
but yeah,
I mean we could talk about movies and shows all day, but we will ask you this.
Okay,
so we have a couple things that we do.
Okay.
And one of them being should we do dad hack?
Yeah, well, we just talked about a dad hack. Like Steve's dad would tape the movies and edit them, which is really genius.
It is, yeah.
I don't know how.
I don't even know if you could do that now.
Well, you could. I
guess you just fast forward through it, whatever. I've done that.
So anyway, that is a tool that you can use as a parent, as a dad, to make your life easier, right?
Okay.
So if you can, think of something that you've done. So what the reason that we do dad hacks is the whole goal of this show, at least in the beginning, was to reach guys that find out that they're having their first kid and they're like, oh my God, my life is over. Mm-hmm. You know,
how can we help to make it?
How can we help those guys be like, not that big of a deal. I got a solution for that problem that you think is going to be the most intense thing in your life. It's not that big of a deal. I got a solution.
Yeah. Dad hack. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so obviously I'm not a new dad. I've been a dad for a while here, 6.5 years.
I mean, there are all kinds of ways I'm trying to manipulate my sons to be better people. You know, I mean, especially the older one who's now grasping certain concepts and things. You know, am I hacking things in specific to make them better? I'm reached a phase where essentially I kind of hold things over their head. Essentially, if I buy them something and say you have to reach a certain reach a certain degree to they're into Mario. They play Mario Kart and Switch, and it's like, okay, I'll buy this figurine, and this Mario figurine or whatever. And if you can't show me, if you can't display the trying to think of the word.
Sorry, I'm trying to help you out here.
Yeah. No, if you can't act the way I want you to act, or we were running late to a birthday party the other day because my wife couldn't find her phone, and he was just throwing a fit about it. You want to go to this birthday party? And I said, we're not going to give you your toy right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think things of those nature. I'm very incentive driven as a father.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like you
got to earn it.
You have to earn what you have, and I'm trying to make my son understand the concepts behind it. It's not that I want to hold this back from him. I want him to understand that, like, you don't just get things. You get things because you earn them.
You earned it, or it's
Well, and I don't know if you're doing this or not. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn here. Whatever, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
Continuously earning things. I know that I do that sometimes, and I didn't really think about it until you said that. But Pokemon cards are a big thing to my son right now.
Okay.
And
those aren't McDonald's Happy Meals anymore.
Oh, really?
I just found out that out today.
Keep going. We want to talk. I've been making I made $1,000 in the last month off of selling old Pokemon cards. For the record,
you're into it.
Okay.
We were talking about this before.
I haven't been in taking cards. I found cards in my parents' house that I sold off.
Oh, nice.
But keep going.
Good job. But no, so he's got to earn to get a pack of Pokemon cards.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but then he's got to continuously earn in order to keep those.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not like I'm just taking them away and then you got to do more to earn them back. But something happens, you make a mistake in life, there's consequences. So then
it gets taken away from you.
Value is taken away.
Oh, okay.
But
earn
they're
it
not
back.
just taken away. You can earn it back.
Yes.
There are things that you can do to redeem yourself, right? And so I think that's at least what I was getting at or what I was thinking of what you were getting at is the concept of earning instead of receiving.
Yeah, it's not something that just happens. You don't just get a new toy on a Tuesday because.
Right.
Like, you have to do something. It's like, hey, man, you don't just get gifts because it's a certain day. Like, it's got to be, you got to earn it. It's got to be like a holiday, like Christmas or your birthday. I'm like, people don't just get, my son's like, oh, I really want this. He's into Ghostbusters right now, like super into Ghostbusters.
That's fine.
He's like, I want the Ghostbusters costume and blaster is what he calls guns, is blasters.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, there's no holidays. There's nothing going on right now. I'm like, but Easter's coming up. If you're a good boy and you earn it, maybe the Easter Bunny will bring you something special. I don't know. He's like, well, all right. He's like, I just don't understand why I can't get it now. I'm like, it's because it's just not how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want things all the time, buddy. I'm like, I can't just go and get something for myself. I mean, I could, but I act like I can't.
But it's still to a point, right?
To a point, yeah. I mean, I can't spend money on something like that.
Listen, if I bought all the bourbon that I really, really wanted
Oh, yeah.
to.
Well, we talked about this the other day when you saw.
I'd be homeless.
Well, yeah, we saw that bottle the other day, the Whistle Pig. You're like, hey, what do you think? $400. Walk away. Like, I did. I'm like, okay, good.
You told me to buy it.
I was joking because you already said you walked away.
Fair.
If you were still in line, I would have been like, no. But yeah, but that glass stopper on it, yeah, it is pretty badass. Go back and get it.
This went down pretty easy.
This is great.
This is good stuff. I mean, it's not crazy expensive,
No, it's empty. My bar. Hey, we did it.
It's a good day.
Did a
It's
good
day.
To wrap up this conversation,
the dad hack.
Yeah, the dad hack is well, I eventually tried this. I sat him down about 4 or 5 days later. I said, okay, you can have this toy. Do you know why I kept it from you for this time? Why you couldn't have it? And he said, because I was bad. I was like, well,
Like, do you know? I mean, that's just really generic. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
Like, do you
Yeah, do you understand
he doesn't
exactly what it
understand the
is?
word generic? I mean, like, do you understand why
Specifically,
He's like,
right.
he's like, yeah, I was raising I was throwing a fit. I was like, okay, you know, I mean, I still I don't know really what's getting through to him. And
Well,
No, but you'd be
it's
surprised on what they.
repetition.
Yeah, it is repetition, and they know they could pick it out.
Yeah.
You know what exactly? Because my son, the same thing we're trying to do with him is trying to be like, you know exactly why I was upset about that, and he could be like, well, I was bad. Well, there was more to it.
yeah.
What exactly was it that made me upset? And then they could actually tell you about it. It's like, okay, good job. Because that's awesome in itself right there. Because if they could recall it and understand why I reacted the way I did, sometimes might be. I mean, you know, as dads, I mean, sometimes we could be like, or as a parent in general, because my wife could be the same way.
Yeah.
You could go over the top sometimes, and it's hard not to.
It's frustrating.
It's hard not to do that.
I was just gonna say that I love that dad hack because what you're doing is, yes, you were teaching a certain amount of responsibility and how to earn things or earn things back, whatever. But you're also working on your communication skills, his communication skills and yours.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, I know I've caught myself quite a few times. You know, we're dealing with this new puppy, and I've been getting a little frustrated. You know, they're pissed all over the house, and then, you know,
we got that on top of the kids doing shit too.
this, and Sloane's doing that, and, you know, all these kind of things, and I do have to catch myself sometimes, and I'm like, wait a minute, and he'll catch me now, and he's like, Dad, remember, we don't use those words. I'm like, oh, you're right.
Touche.
You're right. Absolutely good call.
Yeah.
Now go to your room. No.
Yeah.
But no, I think having those conversations, it forces you to kind of slow down. And when you're trying to explain something like earning something, I think that we do a better job or do a good job of taking it down a notch and really trying to get that concept through. And then you're just communicating, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
So hit that button.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I gotta hit
There's
this for
a
you.
couple dad hacks in there. Dad hack.
Okay, so and then the next thing we do is a proud dad moment. And I will say this, I don't know how, it's fine. So my son, I pick him up from Cub Care at school the other day. It's like latchkey, right?
Yep.
So this is an example of a proud dad moment. So we're leaving, and there's like a group of like 4 girls. They're on the swings or whatever, and they're all, bye, Sammy. You know, all of them are just saying, bye, Sammy. You know, and he walks by and he goes, I'm like, hey, Sammy, all those girls are saying bye to you. And he's like, he does one of these nods at him and just goes, plays it cool. And I'm sitting there like, well, I wanted him to be like, okay, say bye to him. But I'm at the same time, I'm like, that a boy, play it cool. That's how it's done, buddy.
100%.
I'm like, play it cool.
Yeah, I got you.
Act like you're not interested. That gets him every time.
That's awesome. That's
So I was proud of that.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, 100%.
I mean, he's 5, but you know, I mean, it's just funny though. You see that kind of stuff. It's funny to see it, man.
It
I don't know.
is.
It was. I told the story to my wife later that night. I'm like, it was hilarious, and I was like, it was cool though. I was seeing him like, yeah, cool, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Play it
It's no
cool.
big
Like
deal.
so unlike him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
But
that's what was kind of cool to see him like acting like that. Just that.
Yeah,
Because you don't think
100%.
when you think of Sam, you just.
Well, and
Well, a lot of times he would be like, he would just be like, wouldn't even look over there or wave
Right.
or anything. But like, I like to see him interacting with other kids.
yeah,
And doing
well, I was
his
just
thing.
gonna say,
And,
like, I know I've seen him like when he was at the daycare and stuff like that, interact with other kids, and you'd be like, really? He's doing
because I don't see it.
right. You
know
don't
what I mean?
see it, and so that and totally understandable. But those girls like saying bye to him lets you know that like they were talking.
Yeah,
at
they were-
some point.
they were-
Like,
yeah, they're hanging out, they're
friends,
playing.
They're playing together, and
It's reassuring.
Yeah, it
to
is
be like he's
reassuring,
doing
for
fine.
sure.
He's all right. Because I worry about him
Yeah.
just because like he's such an introvert. Like he's just that's just how he is. Not like a super outgoing guy. Although I'll say this though, so my son and his son are good friends.
Yeah.
Just because they've grown up together for 5
Oh, how
years.
old is Gibson?
Gibson's 5. Yeah.
He's like 6 months older than Sam, 7 months older. But Sam like feels very comfortable with him. Like no matter what the situation is, he feels very comfortable with Gibson. So the one teacher or the Cub Care teacher or one of the chaperones, whatever you want to call her, she's a teacher, but she's like, you know, she's like, he's such a good boy. He's so quiet. She's like, I never really heard his voice before, but she's like, he is really outgoing when it comes to seeing Gibson. She goes, I heard him talking like I've never heard him talk before. I'm like, yeah, it's true. It's like whenever he's with him, it's like he's gone, man. It's just the two of them just go nuts.
My kid's a talker.
He is,
Like,
but it helps Sam though to open up when he's around him, and I
it's
love
good.
that. So, but anyway, I got on a tangent about my son.
Yeah.
Proud dad moment for you.
Yeah. Like you said, I worry about my younger son, who's much like your Sam. He's he appears to be an introvert. I don't know. It seems pretty early.
That's the thing is like I think I was a lot more hard on him about those kind of things because I see how his son is.
Well, you guys both, like me, seem at least extroverted in the fact.
yeah.
I mean, you have a podcast, you want to talk for a living.
Sure.
You know, I mean, this is we're all extroverts. So and my older son is. So it's interesting to see my younger son isn't.
Yeah.
And your older son, even me seeing him, he appears to be an introvert just from my
exactly because he's just
understanding.
he's real quiet. He's kind of just keeps himself.
It's
And,
calculated.
yeah.
Yeah, he didn't seem like my son is up and down.
Oh, he's running all over the
crazy,
place, yeah.
Running all over the place. Both of them do, but I mean, but the other one wants to, kind of chill out
Yeah.
at times.
Well, he was playing with Ben. They're playing gujitsus together at the basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I am like I'm proud that I get good reports from my son's teachers. You know, I mean that really because I know that at home they want to get away. They want to get away with everything they can. Especially my oldest son. He knows that he can always push the boundary.
Sure.
And I'm sure we all have similar stories.
Absolutely.
But when I get reports from his teacher that he's like an angel at school, I'm like, okay, that's a blessing because I mean at home if he acts like he's at home at
Absolutely.
school, he'd be like I'd be worried.
Well,
And
I agree with you 100% on that, man.
He's intimidated by his teacher, and I've heard other people who had the same teacher, like other friends who went to Edison had the same teacher that they were intimidated by that teacher. And and Killian seems to focus and listen to her. So okay, good.
No, and you're right though. That is such a cool thing because I same thing. I remember the first parent teacher conference. It was done on Zoom, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there talking to his teacher, and she's explaining to me, and she's telling me about what he does and how good he does at certain things. And I'm like, she's like, he's so well behaved, and she's saying all this, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? I'm like, I was not expecting. I'm like, that's phenomenal. First of all,
Backnick,
yeah,
right?
yeah, like you're talking
the right
yeah.
time slot.
You have
Did you let us in the wrong?
He's talking about the same kid right now, but it's so awesome to see that, to hear that, because it's like it makes you feel great. You're like, okay, I guess I might be doing something right, because at home, he's a little asshole.
Well, you should be proud. But I mean, both of you guys. Here's the thing. This was years ago, but there was a concept in one of our early childhood classes that a couple years ago, the big push, and it still is today, is social emotional health. Being able to regulate emotions and being able to act how you're supposed to act in certain situations. So if you're playing alone and it's supposed to be alone time, can you do that? If you're supposed to be doing a group project, can you do that? If you're playing with a group of people versus playing versus supposed to be working on something, those are all different aspects of social emotional health. Kids that understand that at an early age are just being set up for success.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it, once you get into second, third, fourth, fifth grade, junior high, high school, you're no longer going to be afforded the opportunity to be told, listen, Steve, you need to sit down and do your work. Like, you're in high school, you don't give a shit.
Yeah,
like, you either do it or you don't.
You do that to a certain point.
Those skills to learn at an early age of being able to communicate with other kids, with teachers, and then also be able to let loose at home. I think that's the other side of it that we don't remember, that we don't really think about. Like, because think about it, if your kid's constantly, a perfect angel, we always say, like, caged animal, like,
eventually it's going to break out and go nuts.
Those are emotions that need to be had, right? And so if they feel comfortable enough to be at home and push the boundaries a little bit and be a little silly and do all those kind of things, that's great.
Yeah, let it be. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough because sometimes we've talked about this, like the kids at the park.
Yeah.
They're getting nuts. They're going crazy. You're like, oh my God, they're getting too crazy. We just get out of here.
Right.
But it's like,
but in reality,
but it's like, let them go. They're in a park. They
Let
should
them
be
have
getting
fun.
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I find myself being more worried about the one that's introverted, though.
Yeah.
Because I know the guy who's the Killian who's out there, can talk to anybody, play with anybody. and Coco's like that too, but a little bit. But I worry about having to push this guy out of his shell.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And you
But
probably
you know what
worry
the funny thing is, like you worry about that kind of stuff.
it'll happen over time.
Here's the deal. When I was young, I was the most shy kid. Like I had my hands in my pockets. I'm looking at the ground. People would be talking to me and I would not talk to anyone. And then fast forward years later, you couldn't get me to shut up.
Yeah.
I'm out making friends. I'm out getting crazy. Like it's just, kids change constantly. And a good example of that is today I played baseball with my son. All right. With Sam. And I pitched him probably.
Amen.
Yeah. Thank God. It was awesome too. Cause so I have I went to my mom's house and Ben wanted to stay in and just relax. He was tired. So I take Sam out and I set up the bases and I pitched him 100 pitches, The first 5 pitches, he just crushed them. I'm like, okay, wow. And then my mom was watching too. So she's observing what I'm doing. And when I come back in, we had a blast doing it, right? So we come back in and she goes, you see, I just want to tell you, she goes, a year ago today, you were doing the same thing. And you were getting frustrated because he couldn't focus on doing what you wanted him to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't seem interested and you were frustrated about it. And she's like, I could tell that was really upsetting to you. I'm like, yeah, it's tough because I see other kids doing what I want him to do. And she's like, but look what you did. She's like, he had fun. He's completely different. She's like, he's 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, he's completely different now than he was a year ago.
Right.
Yeah.
She's like, and I see you out there with him and you're having fun and you guys are laughing together and you're making it fun. She's like, that's the most important
That's
thing.
awesome.
She's like, think about that. And that's cool too.
In their own time, right?
Yeah.
Like,
They'll do it when they do it. Like they will figure it out. And I think we all get caught up in that worrying about them.
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
It's
And I
natural.
think that's natural.
It's absolutely
and
natural.
And it's probably healthy, right? Like you should have an interest in what your kids are doing, and you should
You
worry a little
yeah.
bit. Like, I think there's probably an unhealthy worry too sometimes, but like if you can get it to a point where, you keep working on things or whatever, and then just understanding that they're going to get there when they're going to get there.
Yeah. And my mom and both my parents, they bring me back down to earth all the time.
Yeah.
Like, listen, you weren't doing that at that age.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, what he's doing right now, like with school, educationally, like he's doing things that you didn't do until you were 7.
Right. Right.
She's like, understand that. Like, she's like, you're really hard on him. Just let him.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, he's good.
And by
He's
the way,
fine.
also we should be hard on our kids, right? Like,
No, absolutely. No, and that's what I told her.
gonna
I'm like,
push them
yeah.
to be better than we were.
Exactly. And that's my goal. But she's like, understand that like he's 5
Yeah.
and he's doing just fine. He's right where he needs to be.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, it's
"You're
trying
right."
to- it's
but you
trying-
need to be brought back down to earth sometimes.
Yep.
trying to find that sweet spot of well, I wrestle with that too. It's like obviously I like baseball and I want to introduce him to things, that I like and that he, he's been playing for a little few years now, through the jump sports and stuff. And I'm like he tells me he said I've asked him, do you want me to be your coach? And he said, yes. And that makes that, he feels even more comfortable if I'm his coach. Like, okay, good. I don't want to feel like I'm the coach, I really like baseball, so you need to like baseball.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like I want him to want to, but at the same time, you want to introduce him to as much as you can.
Yeah.
We've signed him up for soccer, and he was not feeling that. I was like, okay, fine. That's not.
You're like, all right,
that's not my
jackpot.
thing, anyways.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I don't know anything about
it's
soccer.
It's like okay, we tried it. You didn't like it. Okay.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I'm always wrestling with I don't want to be overbearing, but I want to introduce you to things. You may not like it as much as I do right now, but maybe you will. You find it as a bond between us. I'd like it to, but I don't want him to feel like I need to play baseball because Dad loves baseball.
Right.
Well,
So
I mean, and like you said, there's a healthy way of doing it too, right? Like there's that pushing them sometimes really pays off. Like my dad loved baseball.
Yeah.
My grandpa loved baseball. Like,
Same here.
and when I took to baseball, like, maybe I didn't want to do it all the time, but my dad pushed me to practice more. My dad pushed me towards that a lot more than any other sport. And it stuck with me. I loved it. And I'm not saying my dad forced me to do these things. Like he wasn't like, you have to play baseball.
Well, it helped that Kenny Lofton and Omar Vizquel were in town for me, just like guys stealing bases and gold glovers and like, oh, this is fun.
that's why I wanted- that's why I wanted to be an
I got
outfielder.
to watch those guys play. Like
it's kind of sad that my son didn't get to go to an Indians game this year because there weren't no Indians games for us to go to.
Yeah.
Right.
And like that's that 1 year gap is just like he does not gonna have that memory of
essential
going to
time,
Indians
yeah.
games
Yeah.
that I had and you had and you had. So just some sorry.
No, you're
Right
absolutely
there.
right. No, I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, like without being overbearing, I actually just watched the Tiger Woods thing on HBO.
Yeah. How was that?
It's really good. It's less about golf than I wanted it to be, but it's the Tiger Woods story, so okay.
What parts of Tiger Woods' story?
I mean,
all of them,
the whole thing.
Didn't hold back on anything.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty wild, but no, just like seeing, I knew that his dad like forced him to play, but I didn't know how young and how much he controlled his life until he went pro. And even a few years into being pro.
It's like a Michael Jackson type thing.
Yeah, literally. I mean, the crazy thing was, I remember I was watching it just the other day. It was like this story where he was at college, so he was at Stanford, and had this pretty serious girlfriend, like 2 or 3 years that they had been dating, and he was afraid, he shouldn't have a girlfriend. It's going to mess up his golf career, this and that. And so Tiger, he flew home, told his parents that he'd be home the next day for break or whatever, and then but he flew home a day early and like spent it with his girlfriend, so that was the only time he could see her. Then like 2 days later, the girlfriend got a handwritten note that says, "I can't see you anymore. It's not good for my career." Like all this kind of shit. And it's like, holy fuck, dude. Like that is insane.
That goes back to the caged animal thing.
Yeah.
Because that guy loved women.
Obviously.
So you tell a kid that you can't date these girls and you can't live your life this way. And like eventually they're going to break out and they're going to go.
But he's also the best golfer of all time. So
also you have those money too.
That's the name of my album, Juxtaposition, because the juxtaposition is trying to weigh things like oh, he's gonna be the best golfer of all time if I push him, but he's not gonna he's gonna have a screwed up social life.
Goes back to work-life balance, all those things, right? Yeah. Like how do you weigh those things against each other? They always say that there has to be a little sociopath in you in order to be great at something.
Yeah.
And if you're really great, you're probably damn near full on sociopath. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you have to have something there. You have to have that confidence.
You have to have that extreme focus.
Did you talk to that about with your insurance buddy who was on the show last week?
No, actually I didn't.
That'd be interesting to hear what you have to say. You made it sound like he was killing it.
No, I don't think he's. So he does very, very well. Okay. I think he's done a good job at figuring out a balance because he's such a good dad.
He's very involved.
Huge family guy, but like Tiger wasn't, right? Like he was not a good husband. He was not a good dad. I shouldn't say that.
From what we
know, and it sounds like he's gotten an opportunity to kind of atone for some of those things and maybe.
Well, that's a tough thing too because that's how he's brought up, though, right?
By letting all those other things back into his life, some values and things like that, will he ever break the record? Will he ever get to 19 majors?
Yeah, see, there's those distractions.
He got some big car accident the other day, right? I mean,
right.
Yeah, so that's going to hold him back.
Big piece of it, yeah. But
without his dad, so on the other side of that, without his dad pushing him the way he did, probably wouldn't have been.
Probably would have had one,
Yeah.
I mean, most people don't have one major, right?
Exactly. So,
dude won 70-something tournaments in his first, 100.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's stupid.
Crazy. He was so good.
It's amazing.
But that is a hard balance,
Yeah.
And we're all early on, here too. I'm it's interested. I like to talk to you guys in 5 years. See where it goes. We're at. Just see how they've progressed. That'll be interesting. That's an interesting part of being a dad.
But I think the concerns that we have talked about, the concerns that we show here, it's like it's a good thing because we obviously we're worried and we are concerned
involved.
about this. But we're super involved, and I think that's a good thing. Yeah, and I think that's what's nice about this whole thing is to be able to sit here and talk about it because I usually don't bring these things up.
No.
You know what I mean? Like I don't have these conversations.
Or we're talking 95 World Series. We're not talking about our kids.
Like we'll do that here, but then we get into some deeper shit.
Yeah.
And that's kind of conversations you don't really have with people too often. And that's why this is very healthy. And it helps you to realize that we're doing an okay job at what we're doing.
Right. 100%.
I don't think it's wrong that we feel these concerns about our kids that have they don't seem to be as social, but I think they're going to be just fine.
They will be. They will get there when they need to get there, when they're supposed to get there.
Yeah.
It's natural to worry.
And it's healthy.
It's
worry.
actually probably never going to go away. I'm sure
No.
my dad worries about me. And your
trust me,
parents
my parents or my mom will tell me all the time. Like she's like, "There's never a time that I will not worry about you guys." It's like, it's forever.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
no, she has more to worry about because you have 3 kids.
Yeah. Well, she's like, that's a scary thing right there. So.
Dennis, tell us a little bit more about your band.
Yeah,
this album. Plug that some.
Okay.
Want to know where to find it and all that kind of stuff.
From 2014 to 2021 here, some things have changed. The way people listen to music. You guys had music on when I came in. I'm sure you listened to it. Was it something you put on your phone? That you streamed?
The streaming app.
Okay, so like I have a physical copy of a CD. I know that my mom went to buy a car last year, and she had to buy an older model to have a CD player in it. So I don't even know how people, like in 2014, I would make CDs, and people listen to CDs. I'm like an artist painting a picture. I want something physical.
Canvas,
So I knew how to make these things. Wasn't super expensive. I'm like, I want a few physical copies for myself.
For sure.
Years down the line, I have a relic of what I did, and we're obviously using YouTube platforms and make music videos. And just trying to figure out how to release music. I've talked to some of my music buddies throughout this process. I made music, and then I'm like, okay, what now? How do I get this out? The process, how do I do this? I'm sure you guys, made a podcast and like, okay, what's the best strategy?
That was a tough thing to do. That was a learning curve. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are things, and one of the worst parts of marketing, worst parts of music is marketing yourself. Like, because I'm not a salesman by trade. I'm a musician. You know what I mean? So, but like all these years, you have to sell tickets to go to Peabody's. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm here to make music.
That's where I go jam.
I'm here to make music. It's interesting there. I made physical copies. I'm essentially just giving them out to my friends, expecting nothing in return. I just want people to hear what I made at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not some struggling person. I have a day job. You know what I mean? I have money. I can make my own copies. This costs about $2 a piece to make. So, it's been about $100, made 50 copies or something. And I just hand it out to people who I think are, appreciate and listen to it. So, and then obviously the music will also be online, so you can listen to it that way. Sergio From Rio, that's the name of the band. It actually came off a Smirnoff commercial from the early 2000s where there's 2 guys. You can find, if you search from Sergio From Rio, that even comes up before our music. And Sergio Mendes, who's like this, famous Latin singer. Yeah. Every time you type in, essentially the commercial, you can watch the commercial, but essentially there's 2 schmoes in the bar, and they overhearing this guy with all these girls around him talk about this guy named Sergio. And they turn around and say, "Are you talking about Sergio from Rio?" He's like dark, these vague descriptions of the guy. Darkish, lightish hair, about this tall. Heavy set, thin guy. And they just goes like, "Oh, Sergio." He's like, "Come join us." And they have all this fun together.
Yeah.
And that's for whatever reason we first started jamming together, made music, there's always been an element of, we talk about, how much the airplane movies and stuff have impacted us. And there's always a music of not taking yourself too seriously, having some fun. Me and my cousin are both on the same page with that. We have a kinship that we want this to be fun. We don't want to be too serious all the time, And there are serious topics in the music, but there's like, it's still, there's got to be an element of fun, or why are you doing this? And both of us have a good sense of humor, and we're based in that lifestyle we talked about.
I like that your music, you're even down to the name of your band, has story behind it.
Yeah.
It's not something that you threw a dart at an encyclopedia and said, "All right, we're going to be this name." You know what I mean? Like there's meaning behind it. I think that's cool. It's a connection. It's family. I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
You think like why is the name of the band this? But it's
I
just
was
like,
going to ask,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you were
Yeah.
gracious
Yeah.
enough
Yeah,
to,
and,
to
I
explain
get it.
well, and it's a party is like some musicians have different off projects and things like that, and the music is changed in style. If you listen to what we made in 2014 or 2009, or there's definitely a musical difference in style, but like we're still, myself and Kevin, we're still want to release music under that title because we
That's you.
that's
Yeah.
us.
That's cool.
At
That's
this
awesome.
point. And it's going to evolve over time.
I think it's ridiculous to think that anyone's going to stay the same over a period of 12, 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Everything's always changing.
We've already talked about the next release being something different, where go back to a more acoustic route. We'll see what circumstances bring. I'm going back to work full time, and I'm going to still be able to make time for this. He's talked about coming off the road more and doing stuff like that. So we'll just be able to come to fruition. Most creative stuff comes as an idea, and then it works itself out.
It evolves into a way that you just never saw coming, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to get the music out so I can be a baseball coach here in a month. Where I'm not worried about, did I put that one, like once I get home after I worked and then I coach baseball, I get home it's like, did I put that song on YouTube? I got to release it on Facebook.
Yep.
Just like, no, I can just relax for a little bit. You know what I mean? The one aspect we haven't figured out is playing shows, like how that's going to work or anything, because it's.
Do you like playing live?
I am more so interested in the creative process. And do you guys like doing this live?
Yeah.
Or do you like the product you create? Because I'm more into the product I create.
I think
'cause I'm gonna have something that
That's
I
a good
created that's
question.
going to be around forever. There's a certain energy and adrenaline that comes with playing live.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was in the cover band for a few years, and I had a lot of fun doing that. It just wasn't part of my lifestyle after a while.
Yeah, I think the difference for us is when we do something live, we're hearing it live. I mean, we are doing it online live, right? And it's not like over the airwaves at like a bar.
Right.
So it's not. I don't feel like. I
Yeah,
think. I
you're
feel
not
like.
getting that
I feel like
instant-
performing on stage in front of people. That's a whole different thing from what we're doing.
Right. It is a little bit different.
I mean, we are still
There are
doing
a
a
lot
live.
There are a lot of emotions that come with that. There were times I was singing my heart out, playing some dive bar in Madison. I'm singing my heart out, and there's some guy in the corner just playing pool. Just looks up, whatever. He keeps playing.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
out there singing my heart
Well,
out.
that's the thing.
imagine
Is
you're
you're always
guys.
you're always reading the crowd.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
and that goes for the same thing with us. Like if we're doing a live show,
Yeah.
and we're sitting there looking at how many people are tuned in,
Right.
or if someone's commenting. That's so we're reading the crowd, but in a different way.
distracting, yeah.
It's distracting because like we'll be talking, and then like I notice like he'll fade off and start reading something. Like so, it's a little bit different. Whereas when we're doing it here in the studio, I feel like
full
it's
focus.
full focus.
Yeah.
There's no
I mean, our
distractions.
content is much better in studio.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean,
And that goes for
then
if we
it's
have a guest
also
even.
edited.
And it's edited.
Right.
That's also if we have a guest when we're doing something live.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
it's just a lot easier to sit down and hear
Right.
and have full focus on what we're doing.
Yeah, and then you can edit it and post.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
There's a certain thing like one of the reasons the album is called Juxtaposition is me and my cousin. I mean, I live at home. He lives in a truck. He's like 6'3". I'm 5'9". I mean, there's just like literally all these differences between us. Everything down from religious beliefs to political beliefs to everything. There's
Family
juxtaposition, but we still are family in the end, and we're still friends.
Yeah.
and we're able to get able to get on the same page enough to get this get a product out that I like. And I like that there's a product at the end. You're Van Gogh and you've painted the Starry Night, and I have a product at the end.
Yeah.
That is going to live on past me, hopefully.
Legacy,
It's just like, okay, here. And I like that even more so. So the show's been an afterthought, and then in this environment, I don't even know how we're going to do that. Anyways, when we started in 2014, we did play shows, and it was a good time.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure how that's going to work itself.
Yeah.
I'm not
It'll
even
work
that
itself
We'll
out.
see. Yeah.
Right. Like
I'm not
See where it
even
takes you.
even that worried about it. I like that. Again, back to that community thing. I like that. My friends, and especially it's something about like I don't know if another person who has a podcast compliments you about that you're in the business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
especially my music friends really like it. It's like, oh, okay, you know, not that
Good enough for me. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
everybody who's got an input, or if I have music affected anybody, great, cool.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean, but it's not the end all be all.
Cool.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I like that you're passionate about it. I like that it's your side gig, you know, and you clearly like being a dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Balance
really
everything
cool.
out.
I hope one of my kids, you know, wants to pick up an instrument, and I can, or you know, wants to hit the baseball in the backyard. I was interested to see how that turns out.
Yeah.
too,
I
you know.
think it's always a bonus if your
Fourth time.
Or
I think it's always a bonus if your kids are interested in something that you're interested in.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
that makes it that much more special because where did they get it from? They got it from you. You
Yeah.
know? So yeah, I mean those are just fun things to look forward to. Dennis, dude, it was so much fun talking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I've
definitely a lot of
it's
fun.
Pleasure. My wife said, "Hey, you look like Forrest Gump." But we walk out, you know, when he's running around.
Oh,
with
with
the
the-
with
Yeah,
the
you
hat,
got the red hat,
the
yeah.
She was like, do you have like a game plan? Are we going to talk about it? I'm like, no. I mean, I talked with Steve like for a few minutes. I had a rapport with you already.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is not going to, this
Yeah.
is not going to be
Yeah, I could tell
difficult.
because I mean, you came right up to me and started talking, and we were like,
I was
and I
like,
told
hey,
him, I'm like, hey, you were dad. You want to come up? We started
Yeah.
talking about the podcast and
Yeah.
music, and I'm like, come on,
Easy,
join
yeah,
us.
Product the Hawk, and it's like, okay, this
There you go.
will be
Easy
nothing.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, look, being a dad is so encompassing. Like, I don't care what you do for a living. If you're interested in talking about being a dad, then that means that you're involved with your kids' lives, right?
Yeah.
And so it's easy. You know, what do they say? Never lie, and you know, you never worry about telling the truth. Like,
Yeah.
it's easy to talk about because it's what we're living every day.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's fun to dive into those topics, and it's been a blast doing that with you today.
Yeah, we
Thanks,
appreciate you
man.
coming on, man.
Was it? I found it easy to write songs about my wife and I's relationship, but I don't want to come across as like you know, that Creed with arms wide open. I don't want. I don't want to like. Like, look at me, I have a son. Yeah, I created a life. It's like I haven't crossed that bridge where I started
Okay.
writing songs about my kids.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, I talk about life in general, and but the relationship between my wife seems to be a sweet spot on the album here. It's not the entire, discourse, but it's,
Well, I'm excited to check the
Yeah,
rest of it
definitely.
out. I've seen a couple of them on YouTube.
Yeah, great.
So and they were fun. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to check the rest of it out.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of
Absolutely,
course,
man. This is a lot of fun.
Anything from you, Steve?
No, I'm good. It's a
Dennis,
good time,
anything
man.
else
Appreciate
you,
it.
You want to
Okay.
get off your chest?
No, my wife's gonna still go out tonight, so I got.
Okay.
Yeah, get out of here. You gotta get out of here.
If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys check out Sergio From Rio.
Yeah.
Is there a certain place you can Facebook,
No,
YouTube?
yeah,
Definitely have a YouTube
we have a Facebook
channel.
page and a YouTube channel
Okay.
that we put out most of our music.
Okay, so
Okay.
keep an eye out for more content from them. If you haven't already, make sure you follow us on all the podcasts and all the socials, thetalkingdads.com, where we do all of our whiskey reviews, full library of the podcast.
Yeah, I feel good after drinking it. Yeah,
Oh, good.
Yeah, absolutely.
probably coming down a little.
Very good. There you go. But yeah,
That's
do
how
all
you
that
get
kind of
comfortable.
stuff. Tell all your friends, and there you go. Have a good day. Thank you for all your support.
Thank you. Hey guys, if you love what you just heard or watched, and we know you did, do us a solid and hit that thumbs up. Share with your friends and throw us a comment, literally about anything. Your support legit keeps us going. Oh, and don't forget to give us that 5-star rating. We really appreciate you.